Ready to get started? I can do it. You think we're good?
Yeah, my guess is we'll probably have folks rolling in for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, mornings are always like that. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Canvas training. I want to shout out and say hi to all our online folks, too. We have a whole lot of people joining us on YouTube also. And for the online people, I just want to let you know there's a forum for your questions. We have someone monitoring a document. It's a link right underneath the YouTube video stream. So you can look for that document to ask your questions. We'll try to get to as many as possible today. And for all of you in the room, we'll also have time for questions. After I show you each tool, we'll have pause breaks where you can ask your questions. Feel free to follow along as I go through Canvas or just watch the presentation today. We have a lot we're doing up front in the morning. This morning's really the overview of getting into course building, the bulk of that. And then we're going to have segmented topics throughout the rest of the day. I'll kind of go over that with all of you. We're going to start by talking about creating and organizing content, and then we're going to dive into communication discussions for the next hour. So that first topic's kind of the biggest topic you can even cover in Canvas, so it might bleed over a little bit. But that's the progression for the first 2 hours, are those first two bullets on the screen. We're then going to get into some grading and assessment, how to do activities with your students. Then we're going to talk about collaborative learning, group structure in Canvas, how it's different from what you're used to in Moodle. And then we'll have an hour for advanced topics, diving deep into assignments and rubrics and quiz management, some of those heavy hitter topics that we don't always get to in the basics, especially things like course data, looking at course settings, stuff like that. And then the last hour today from 3 to 4 is going to be a Q&A, open lab. If you want to work and ask questions, I can circulate and work with you. And same with the online folks, they can work at home, and as they have questions, kind of ask us as well. So we built in an hour of just open, what do you want to learn? What do you want me to show you or help or support with? I'm Erin, by the way. Hi, everyone. I am a full-time Canvas trainer. I was a teacher in education for over 7 years, though. Before I came to work for Canvas about a year and a half ago, I have higher ed and K-12 experience, so I've seen Canvas in a million different contexts. And I was an instructional designer as well. That's what all my graduate work was in, and I worked as a teacher and an instructional designer for the past few years before Canvas. So I come at this with an approach of not just how to use the tools in Canvas, how to design effective courses in Canvas, how to make the best use of the tool. That's kind of the most important thing. There's no way in a day I'm going to teach you every single in and out of Canvas, but I am going to tell you the tools to start with and what's the most important for building an effective course. Just in case you haven't been into Canvas yet, I know a lot of you have been. I've seen some of you already in the admin training. It's the canvas.umn.edu. So we always recommend Chrome. You don't have to use Chrome. You can use Firefox. It's accessible on all the browsers. The only thing is browsers like Internet Explorer don't always update as frequently, and sometimes when you use some of the integrations like YouTube and other third-party tools, those don't always work well in Canvas. So we recommend Chrome or Firefox as the main go-to, but Safari also works if you have a Mac. There's other browsers that it's compatible with too. All right, we're going to dive right in. And this is not my computer. I'm used to highlighting and stuff, so if I'm a little wonky at first, that's why. I'm used to having my own computer where I have all these tools on it. But I want to show you first, we're going to really briefly overview what you see when you log in, and then we're going to dive into a course and how to build a course effectively. This is kind of the biggest topic in this first hour, so we're going to get through as much as we can of it. When you get into Canvas, everyone sees this dashboard. Students have the same exact view as instructors. Any user in Canvas, when they log in, sees this view. You will have a course tile for all of the courses you teach. You will have one for every section you teach. There is a way to merge all your sections into one course. That means you don't have to copy things. Like maybe you make a nice homepage for section 1, you don't have to then copy it to section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5. That would get very tedious. There is a way to combine courses into one course shell, but when they come over originally from PeopleSoft, that's how your courses get built for you, you will have a course for every section. So just know there's a way to combine it so you're not copying things over and over and over again. Don't be alarmed if you see several courses in your dashboard when you log in. There's different tiles for each course, so you just click on the tile to get to that course. And we're going to do that in just a few minutes after I overview what's here in Canvas. So before we get into a course, we'll spend most of the day in a course. What's in the whole Canvas account? That's what you see when you log in, all of Canvas, all your courses, all your stuff's here. What do you see here? I'll show you what it looks like actually from UMN. Yours is a different color. It looks like your school here with all your colors themed here. What do you see here? You see your courses, but on the right you see a to-do list. That is what every single user sees. Teachers, anyone who grades assessments or assigns assessments to students, activities, discussions, quizzes, anything like that, teachers will see anything they have to grade there. It's kind of an automatic pull from all of your courses, quick access to anything you have to pay attention to. It's telling me right now, I have 31 of this assignment to grade. I have 32 of this to grade. So it's just saving me a little time. I don't have to go into each course to see what I have to grade. It pops up right when I log in. Students in the same space see their to-do list. It's all the things they have to turn in. So if they have an assignment coming due, a discussion coming due, a quiz they have to take, that's what they see there. So it's really useful. As soon as students log in, they see a quick access, all the stuff they have to accomplish. Below that, students have a bonus area. Students also have here a recent feedback space. As soon as a professor gives a comment or feedback or grade on some kind of activity they did, they see immediately when they log in. So it's nice. As soon as you log in, you already have some useful information. The left-hand side here is called Global Navigation. And it's called Global because no matter where you go in Canvas, you can access those icons. They don't go away. The other reason it's global is because they're not just for one specific course. Once you go in a course, there's a whole other menu that pops up. But these icons relate to your entire Canvas account. So the account button at the top would be for your entire account in Canvas. Below that, you would have the access back to this dashboard. Courses is an alternate view to dashboard. So the dashboard's this very visual organization here. When I click on courses, it's a list version of what you see on the dashboard. Kind of a quick access. If I'm in one course and I want to just jump to another course really fast, I don't necessarily want to go back to dashboard and then find the tile that I want. I can just be in one course, click courses, and switch to another course really quickly. So it's that quick access list here. It's the same exact courses that are showing on your dashboard. Now I get the question a lot, what if I have a ton of courses here and some of them I don't even use? There is a way to hide courses. There's a little link at the bottom of your list. And right now when you're new in Canvas, you don't have a lot of courses. But if you look at my courses, I have a million of them. Eventually, you'll have a lot of courses in Canvas. So this is a useful feature. At the bottom, you'll see this link to all courses. And it takes you to the exhaustive list of courses that you have. And you're able to tell Canvas when you're in this space. You can see why I don't want to show all my courses on that dashboard. I have a lot. Any course, once you start getting a lot of them, you can star the courses you want to show up in that list and on the dashboard. You never lose access to any of your courses, but you don't necessarily, every time you log in, want to scroll through 50 courses to find what you want. So you can always come here. It might not make sense now. You might only have a few courses. It doesn't matter. But once you start to have a lot, you can always come here and color in the stars of the courses you want to show up in that list and on your dashboard. You have full customization abilities here in Canvas. And I think that's what you're going to learn. Canvas is a place where you can always edit and adjust. You're never stuck with settings. You're never stuck with things you do. You can adjust things like this as much as you want as you have Canvas. So it's something to just remember. That's another use of this courses button, that all courses link at the bottom. In the next hour, we're going to talk about the two communication tools here, Calendar and Inbox. So that'll be next hour when we discuss communication. But before we dive into a course, I want to just briefly shout out to Commons and then really talk about help. Commons, just so you're familiar with it, we're not going to go there. It'll take time to go there. But it's just the shared space inside of Canvas. So Commons is where any user in the entire world who uses Canvas can share parts or all of their courses. It's great. For example, when I left my school to do this job, I was the only video production teacher at my school. So they hired a new video production teacher, never had taught it before, had no curriculum. So I shared my entire course to the Commons, and then when he started, he could pull my course into his class and tweak it and use my content. It was my choice. You're not forced to share things with others. But if you do find a need for that, a lot of times if you're doing common things with other people in your department, it's nice to maybe make a homepage and share it. Or maybe you're making an assessment you want to share with other teachers. You can do that. You can share publicly or just with UMN. So you don't have to share it to the whole world if you don't want to. It can be part of your course or all of your course. That's all that space is. It's the shared space of Canvas. You can also find stuff other people have shared and pull it into your courses. It's kind of nice when you're getting started if you want examples of things. Go there and see what other teachers have done, and you can use those examples or delete them out if you don't like them. That's all that space is. When you hear commons, think shared. It's all the shared resources from Canvas. The most important thing you could ever learn in training, if you forget everything I say today, remember help. I never once myself attended Canvas training. I taught myself Canvas using help. I had the same help support as you guys do, and I piloted Canvas for my district, so I never had any training. I had no one else really doing it with me, so I had to troubleshoot myself. That's how great this help space is. There are guide tutorials, videos you can watch to learn Canvas. There's a chat and a support hotline you can use 24/7. The chat I used even at 2:30 in the morning would get answers to my questions I had. There's 24/7 people in the headquarters. It's not some weird outsourced support team. They're in our headquarters. They really are dedicated to their job. They'll answer you right away. They'll keep you updated if they're investigating something for you. They'll give you follow-up resources. They're really, really expedient in how they help you. And you don't have to ever feel weird. I've heard questions such as, I didn't get to attend training. How do I set up a course? And someone on the chat or on the phone hotline walked through an hour and a half with a teacher helping them set up a course. They'll do stuff like that. They'll even just answer, the picture's not loading. This isn't working. How do I find this? Just the basic troubleshooting or end user type questions. Don't be afraid to use this. If you want to try to help yourself first, the best link to use is search the Canvas guides. This is kind of the first stop if you're trying to find a resource or an answer. And I'm spending lots of time on help because this is really where you go next. If you're struggling through Canvas, I want you to know what is here for you. The Search the Canvas guides takes you to our website community. So this is our website where you can have lots of resources. There's a ton of stuff here besides just the guides, but it takes you right to the guides, and you can search. So, for example, you want to learn more about the dashboard, what I just showed you. I can search dashboard, and I want you to see how visual our guides are. All of these pop up. Switching. Hang on. Oh, just leave it there. I'm loud. I told them. I warned them. I'm loud. We'll see how that works. So here we have a list. When you search, tons of guides and help come up. I'm just going to click the first one to show you an example. How do I use the dashboard as an instructor? And I want you to see it's not all text-based information. It's very visual with screenshots, very little text. That's how easy it is to use our help guides. Incredibly simple. It's not like reading a tech manual where you're glazed over trying to figure out what they're talking about. It's very, very visual, lots of screenshots. At the bottom, they even suggest relevant topics if you want to keep learning more. I am not used to the scroll on this computer. Forgive me, I'll use this. All right, it's amazing how used to computers we get. So here you have the previous topic, next topic. You can kind of dive deeper if you want, or always go back to your search results. So that's how easy it is to find things. Just remember the name of the tool you're using. You can find support on any topic in Canvas. You can also get direct links to guides. So here we have a direct link to the Canvas guides, but also the video guides. There's a video on all the major tools in Canvas, and they're really short videos, usually like 2 to 5 minutes. So if you want to just watch video overviews of all the different tools, you can go straight there. So whether you're an audio-visual learner or you just like those guides, you can also go straight to the Canvas guides and see a list of all of them. I'm an instructor, so I'm going to click Instructor. And you can see the major topics in Canvas now. Let's say we're going to learn calendar in a little bit. If I want to keep learning more about calendar, I click calendar, and there is an organized list of the guides about it. So there's a whole lot of stuff here. I just really, if you forget everything today, just know this is here. And all you have to remember is click help. It gets you to this space. So when I'm inside of Canvas, I go to help. That's search the Canvas guides, takes you to that website. But you also have that support hotline and chat. Whether you want to call someone and get help or just type your response, maybe you're in the middle of class and don't want to be on the phone, you could easily use those features and get support right away. So just know this stuff is here. If you have some kind of technical issue and you want to submit a ticket in Canvas, like something's not working, you can also do this report a problem. That's how you submit a ticket for any Canvas issues that you're having. All right, help, most important button. I'm going to go back to dashboard because we're going to go into a course. You may have a development course, a practice course, something to work in. If you're following along, feel free to go into that course and kind of see what I see. You might have a course with content already in it. Maybe you have content from Moodle, or you may have a blank course. Either way, I'm going to show you examples of both. But I'm going to first show us, I'm going to click on a course, and it's going to take me into a very blank course. This is what a blank course looks like. If you get a new course in Canvas, there's nothing in it yet. Let's talk about getting started with building content. What are the most important things you need to think about? Well, the first thing I want to point out is you now have a whole separate menu here. This is now the course navigation on the left-hand side. One of the first questions I always get is, why do I have gray icons? Why can't I click on that? For example, announcements. I want an announcement. Why can't I click on it? As an instructor, you can click on any of these links, even if they're gray. Why are some of these gray? It has to do with students. I did not mean to click that. It has to do with students. Students see no icons that are gray. Only teachers see them. Why would you want some icons gray for students? Well, number one, you have nothing there, so it's pointless for students to see it. Number two, you can intentionally hide links to students that you don't want them to access. That is an incredibly good practice from instructional design. Right now, your course has way too many links in it. I don't know any teacher that uses every single one of these with fidelity. The great part of Canvas is you have lots of options. You as a teacher pick and choose what tools you want to use. Good instructional design practice is to have less than 10 links in your course. And then ideally, you want to aim for 5 or 6. Doesn't mean you can't have more. If you're really using the tools here, you can have more than that. But you still want to minimize as much as possible. A key instructional design concept, simplify. So you have all these options, but that doesn't mean you have to give all of these to students. This adds to confusion, and I promise you, you'll get way more student questions if you keep all these open than if you hide some of these items. What would I want to hide? Well, for example, if you're building how we suggest through modules, and I'm going to show you, we're going to practice modules and everything this morning. Modules is an area where you can organize all of your content. So a module can contain a background information about your content. It can contain an assignment, a quiz, a discussion, a file like lecture notes, or a PDF article. It can contain links. It can contain resources. A module is how you chunk or organize your learning content for students. Now, because you can pull all that kind of stuff into a module, you don't really need students to have to go to quizzes to get quizzes, or pages to see pages, or assignments to see assignments. That's a lot of buttons they can click on and get confused looking through long lists of things in your course. Instead, I like to hide a lot of those items and make them access my content how I want them to access it through modules. You can set the order they get their content in modules. You can set when they can access certain things. I'd rather have them controlled in how they access my content than clicking all over my course trying to find what they need to do. So that's a big consideration. You can hide a lot of this stuff because of that. Another item I like to hide, and this is totally a professor choice, that's the beauty of it, you can do what you want in a course. Files. It's kind of more like a files area on your computer. It's a place you can go to bulk upload your notes, your articles, whatever you have for your course. I like to then put the files I want students to access in a module when I want them to access it. Whereas a file space is more just like the files on your computer. You organize it more for yourself. Like here's a folder for this, here's a folder for this, let me bulk upload this. Again, some professors show files to students, some don't. Just know students sometimes get confused if they're just looking through a huge file folder of all your different files. They don't necessarily know when they're supposed to access certain things. So it's going to make sense by the end, after we practice modules of why you can hide a lot of this stuff here. Just know that you're able to hide a lot of things here, and you pick and choose what you want to hide. And we're going to practice doing that right now. I want to show you how you do that. It's all the way at the bottom in settings. Settings is the most important button in a course that people often ignore or overlook because it's at the bottom. There is so much here in settings, and I will not bore you reading all the settings in the course. That's something you can definitely do for homework. That's one of the places I encourage you when you're working on your own. Look at this place because there's a lot of stuff here. There's 5 tabs in settings, and there's buttons on the right in settings. There's a ton of stuff here. I'm going to point out 2 places that are really useful to get us started. The first in settings is the 3rd tab, navigation. So that 3rd tab is where you can completely control what students have access to. As a teacher, you don't lose access, just hiding it from students. So I'm going to look at this long list of items I'm showing to students, and I just click and drag below the ones I want to hide. So I'm in settings, navigation tab, the 3rd tab. This is something you're going to want to remember for later. If you want to practice it now, that's great. If not, this is something you might not know now what you want to show or hide in a course, but know that it's possible. That's kind of the key here. So I'm going to click and drag down things I want to hide from students. Doesn't mean I don't have access, just hiding it from them. You just click and drag. Lots of stuff. You can also use the gear. One of my favorite pieces of advice in Canvas is don't be afraid to click. Click everything. Don't be afraid, except don't click delete course or things like that. Avoid those buttons, but click all the little icons you see. That's how you really learn Canvas. You're not going to break it. You have no students in your course yet. Click things. See what they do. The button for gear always means options. So here I can also disable this way instead of just dragging. So it depends on your preference of what you want to do, but I click and hide a lot of this stuff, so I'm going to do that right now, dragging it below, hide my files, hide my pages. You can decide if you want students to see the list of people in the class or not. They can't see any sensitive information, so it's safe to keep that open if you want to. I typically keep like these items here. You can even click and reorder too. So if I want syllabus closer to the top, then I want modules. Let's say I want those items there in the course. Once I have my list I like, I click save. But remember, you can always go back here and change it. You're never stuck, ever, in Canvas. I've never, ever stuck. So now I have a whole lot more that's gray in my course. I also want to show you what this looks like now from a student perspective. I still see as a teacher, I see all these gray links. Now, one other button I want to show you in settings this morning. We'll go back to settings in the advanced session, but navigation's one thing. On the right is student view. When I was starting in Canvas, I used student view pretty much every day to make sure I saved things right, published things right for students, and just to see what the course looks like as a student. Well, you have no idea unless you go to student view. So I just remember settings all the way on the right is student view. And when I click that, look how much easier this course is to navigate now. Way less confusing, way less things they can click on. So really just remember, the first key thing in a course, simplify the navigation. That's the #1 consideration when you're building content. Simplify. I cannot tell you how many times I go to colleges or universities where I get students, they're complaining about student complaints because the students go in these courses where professors never did go to training. They had no idea. Like I wouldn't have known I could simplify this list if I didn't go to training. It took me a whole semester to figure that one out. And they get very confused. They never know where to find things in a course because they're clicking all these buttons. Like, I don't know where this assignment is, where this page is, and they get super confused. So already right now, you're making a better course just by this one option. All right. I want to take a second. Just once you're in student view, if you want to leave student view, it's at the bottom. Leave student view. We're going to segue next to home pages. What you see there, I just want to see if there's any questions online. So Facebook users, if you click that link and have any questions, let us know. And in the room, anyone have any questions so far about what's in a course, what you see when you log in, anything we've talked about? Yes.
If you have one class, hold on.
Oh, they're running those mics over.
If on one class you go through this whole settings thing,
Yes.
Can you sort of port that over to your other classes?
Absolutely. So another feature in settings is to copy course content. When you copy a course over like next semester or maybe to another section, yes, those settings copy over. So it's only setting up initially, then maybe next semester when you do this course again, all those settings stay intact. Great question.
And will you cover how to move things that are in Moodle?
This afternoon, not Moodle. How to copy here I cover, but I
Like
know
how to
UMN can
move
give you
your stuff
instructions
from
for
Moodle to
Moodle.
Canvas? Okay.
There is a training, I will say to that, we are doing a training internally at the U on, that touches on how to move from Moodle to Canvas too. But I forget the date and I'm looking around for anybody. November 7th is when we are, and it's on our Canvas website. And there is online documentation too.
Perfect, thank you. Any online questions yet? Not yet. All right, yes.
Can an instructor share their editing rights with like staff or an assistant or?
So how that works is maybe you have a course where you want others to also help build in the course. You would add them as an instructor role. There's also other roles you might, I don't know exactly for here, they can create like instructional designer roles, different roles where they don't necessarily see student data, but there are roles you can assign users in your course. You just go to people to add them, and you can say what role you want them to have in your course. Absolutely. Yes.
We do have lots of roles
Yeah.
for that too. Yeah.
Yes.
This is so online people can hear what you're asking.
Yeah.
Would the assumption be that from the student view, you're also able to complete assignments as a
Yes.
student?
So the student view is powerful in that if you're just learning, it's kind of nice. You can test out doing assignments, taking quizzes, all of that. When you leave student view, there's also an option to reset. You can clear out whatever you've done as a student or keep what you've done when you leave. You can go to the grade book, and there's now, instead of your student list, you also see a test student in the grade book. You can practice grading yourself, see what it looks like in the grade book. So yes, when you're operating in student view, you can really act like a student as well and practice doing things. Great question and point to bring up. All right, let's keep going, and then we'll pause for questions again in a few minutes. But I want to talk about, number one, we said clean up the course navigation, simplify. Key concept number one. Number two, what do students see when they first enter your class? That's a really key thing to think about. Do you want them to see a blank space? No, this is horrible as a starting point for students. It's really up to you what you put in the home space. I have three kind of considerations that are really big for building course content. Number one, your goal with a home page is to engage your students. Number one, engage. What does that mean? Having any kind of visual. It could be a picture relevant to your curriculum. It could be a banner that's just a solid color with text on it, welcome to the class, welcome to speech and debate, whatever you're teaching. You don't have to be a frilly designer, have glitter and rainbows all over your course. Just have something engaging and visual, even if it's just using color. That's what I'm talking about when I say engage. It's the first thing students see when they enter. They either have immediate engagement in your content or they're immediately disengaged in your content with what they see. If you have just paragraphs of text on your homepage, they're immediately not going to want to read it and not going to want to enter and learn in your course. And our goal as teachers is for students to want to learn our content because that is how they retain our content. So it's really key, at least on the homepage. You don't have to be a visual designer. You don't have to have pictures all over your course. At least on the homepage, have something engaging for students. All right, that's key number one, engage. Yes.
We have a couple of online questions because of the lag that the YouTube feed is doing. Would you have a
we
moment
can
to
pause
take a couple
for
of those?
questions for a minute. Yes.
The first one is, what does the word my in my media refer to? The instructor, the student?
My media, that is an integration specific to UMN, so I'm not even familiar with it.
Here it's who's ever logged in.
Okay.
So it'd be, if you're logged in as the instructor, it's the instructor's media, and if you're logged in as students, it would be their own media.
Okay.
The second question is, if we have multiple sessions of the same course taught by multiple instructors, can I create a master course site where I can essentially make changes to course content, for example, changes on assignment description, while still allowing individual instructors to construct and customize their own course?
Yes, that'll have to do with blueprint courses. The admins have been trained about how to create blueprint courses. If you want it to automatically go out to the other instructors, that would be the best solution for that. Or you could have a master course where you build and have them as instructors, and then they can copy those changes over to their individual courses. So there's two ways to do that. You can have your own course where you have them go in as teachers and copy it themselves, or you can have a blueprint course where you share the updates with them. And there's documentation in the community about blueprint
The
courses.
keyword for them to look up in the, what would the keyword be that they would look up in the guides? Blueprint
Blueprint,
courses?
yep,
Okay.
blueprint will come up with anything they need to know.
But it does have to be turned on as a subcategory.
Yes, your admins at the sub account have to be able to turn that on for you. So it's not something just an instructor can turn on to make a template course like that. You have to have an admin turn that on for you. Then you can fully control what the content is in that course. Yep. Is that it? Okay. Want to help out our online people too. All right, so talking about what they see first in the course. 3 things. Number 1, engage. We discussed that. Number 2, inform. When I say inform, I don't mean paragraphs and paragraphs of information about your course. Keep it simplified. I feel like the key word here today is simplify, simplify, simplify. When you're informing, what's the most critical information about your course? Linking a syllabus would be a good thing to put on your homepage. Having maybe your contact information, office hours, basic information like that. You can have a short welcome message like, welcome to the class, here's what we're learning. Something like that would be useful as well. So think of the most critical pieces of information for your course. That's what you want to have on the homepage. So engage, critical information. The third thing is to guide navigation. We already cleaned up the navigation here, but you want to direct students where you want them to access your content. The homepage is kind of the gateway to your course. So when you're thinking about that, tell them where to get started. You can say start here and just link them where you want them to go. Or you can tell them like go to modules to get your content. Be very specific how you want to guide them because that page is a gateway to where they're accessing your course content. It's the first thing they see. You want to engage, inform, and guide navigation. Those are the 3 things for it. So some examples of that. I first want to point out what your options are for a home page. So when you're home in a course, I'm on my home button. On the right-hand side is a button to choose homepage. So when I click that, there's a lot of options there. You can play around with whatever options you want, but when we talk about customizing what's on your homepage, there's 2 main options, 2 that are recommended for higher ed. A page or a syllabus as your homepage. What's the difference in Canvas between a page and a syllabus? So a page in Canvas is a blank space to put whatever you want. Think of a blank Word document. You have the toolbar at the top. You can put text, you can put pictures, you can put links, whatever you want on that blank document. That's all a page is in Canvas. It's a blank space to put whatever content you want. So it could be pictures, it could be welcome to the class, here's a link to my bio, here's a link to the syllabus, whatever I want to put there could be there. A syllabus in Canvas is the exact same thing. A blank space to put whatever you want. Probably want to put a syllabus there if it's called syllabus in Canvas, right? You can put your syllabus there, but you're not stuck to just that. It's an open space to design. So you could still have a picture, you could still have whatever you want there. They're the same exact design functionality, but the syllabus has a bonus feature. That's the difference. There's a bonus feature with the syllabus. In Canvas, the syllabus also has, let me go to a syllabus in Canvas. Besides the top part that you can design, this teacher put their actual syllabus there. They copied and pasted it there. But here's the bonus feature in Canvas. If you choose syllabus as your home page, you get this course summary. It's automatically populated. You don't do this yourself. It's chronologically organized. So as soon as you add in your class an assignment, a discussion, a quiz, something on the calendar that's graded with the deadline, it populates here for students. Kind of like a quick access list. As soon as they get to your course, they can get to all that content there. So that's, if you like having that, you'd probably want to choose syllabus as your homepage. Some teachers don't want students to see everything coming up. They want them to just work on current items. Choose a page as your homepage. Pretty much the difference is if you like this course summary or not. Syllabus versus page. You design it the same exact way, you just have this bonus feature if you choose syllabus and Canvas. So this teacher made hers look like an actual, or his look like an actual syllabus. Here's another example though. In my video production class, I liked using the syllabus as my homepage, but does it look like a syllabus? No, I liked the visual design. But I also liked having that course summary, so that's why I chose syllabus as my homepage. You decide what you put on it. You probably want to at least link to a syllabus there, but the difference here is the course summary. I liked having that on my homepage. Visual design, I like to put banners and buttons here. Now, the first week of school, I did have a link to the syllabus and a welcome message. But what's nice is you're never stuck in Canvas. After the first week of school, I figured they didn't need it anymore. They already had it saved. So I just made it completely functional, like click right to where you want to go. I made buttons. What is a button? It's any picture. You just link somewhere. That's it. That's how you make a button in Canvas. You link text by highlighting and linking it somewhere. That's how a picture works. Put a picture in, link it somewhere. That's a button. So I made these pictures myself and just linked them and made a very visual course design. So your homepage can look like this. Here's another example. This is a U.S. history class. They have a welcome message with a slide deck that rotates. And it's kind of a fake one. You can tell this is a training one. When you get to the bottom, they have the overview here with some links, a link to the syllabus. There's the contact information and then a start button to start the course. So that's another example. If you want to just get straight to function, here's a design this teacher did just on the syllabus page. Welcome, it's engaging. They have colorful text here. Be prepared to learn, link to the syllabus, and then directed them to modules by the start button. Another example, here's a biology homepage, same course that syllabus was. They didn't use the syllabus. At the top, they have just a banner, a link to the syllabus, background information about the class, and then 2 links to information about the classroom versus the lab. Just use the page. That's it for that. So you can see there's 8 million ways to design it. You pick what you have there. Just keep those 3 things in mind: engage, inform, guide navigation. And you can set whichever option you want here. Sorry, I'll go back to that course. I would choose a page or a syllabus. Page is just grayed out because you haven't made a page yet. Once you go make a page, then you can set that as your home page. So I'm just going to choose syllabus for now just so I have something to showcase. I'm going to save it. And you can see it switches what your home page is. And now I'll have a place to edit what I want. When we get there, we don't have a lot of time to go into page design. In the advanced topics or this afternoon, I can share more of my page design favorite resources, like what I use to create banners and buttons and things like that. I can share more of that. But I do want to show you what it looks like when you edit content in Canvas. So let's say I want to edit my syllabus now. Anytime you see the edit pencil, that opens up the editing tools. And I just want to point out what's here for you. This is something, if you master how to use these, you've learned more than 50% of Canvas. You will see these tools everywhere. If you build an announcement, an assignment, a quiz, a discussion, any of those things you're building in a class, a page, these are the design tools you see. So if you know how to use this, you're pretty much set in designing your content. You have all your text tools at the top: bold, italics, underline, change the text color, highlight, all those things. So let's say I want to make a title like "Welcome to my class," "Welcome to speech and debate." I'm going to be a speech and debate teacher today. You can highlight, center, change the text color, change the text size, all those things. You definitely want to choose dark colors. Let me change, maybe that paragraph button lets you pick a header if you want, or you can just change the text size, make it a header. All right. So you can easily add text to your home page or any content you have. The second row is where you get a little bit more interactive. You can add tables to your content. You can add links. Bless you. How do you add a link? So anytime you see this toolbar, you're able to link text or pictures. So let's add a link to a website. That chain link button allows you to link to a website. So how do you make a link? Let's say I want to link to University of Minnesota's, I cannot spell, Minnesota's website. Let me find the website. University of Minnesota. Pretend this is what I want to link them to. So you just copy the link you want, and on your page, you type the text and highlight what you want to link to. So to make a link, first, type and highlight. Second, you click the link to URL button, and if you notice, every time you hover, it tells you what that button does. That's another way to learn Canvas. Click or hover. Click the link button, and I just paste the link there. And when I click insert, it flashes. That means it's saved. Yes.
Do you have control over whether it opens in a new window
You
or
do.
tab?
I'll show you the shortcut for that. When you're in that link, if you click Control K, there's a shortcut for it. Control K pops up this window where you can target to a new window.
Are you able to open up a PDF document?
Yes, I'll show you that next. I'll give you that example. Correct. Yeah, I'm going to show you all the different ways to link, so we'll get to those other items. All right, so I can target to a new window. Getting another mic. All right, if I want to. So that's how to add a link. Type the text, highlight, and the chain link button. Now, this middle part here, all these tools here are called the Rich Content Editor. You also have tools to the right. The tools in the middle are the tools I like to think how you design right on the screen. The right-hand side is what I like to think of as how you pull things from other places into this screen. It's called the content selector. I'm pulling stuff from other places. What can you pull in? Well, I can link over to the right. Instead of just linking to a website here, I can link to other items in my course. This is how I link them. Maybe I want to link to the final assessment they're taking, or I want to link them to the module space. I want to link them to announcements. This is where I go to the right to do that. Same way I linked this University of Minnesota website, except I use the chain link button because it's linking to a website. I type text what I want to link to over here. Remember I said guide navigation on your homepage? What if I say like go to modules to get started? If I want to link that somewhere, I can just highlight that, or I can highlight just the modules part if I want. And then what if I want to link them to the actual modules? Well, that would be over here to the right, this links button. This links tab here lets you link anywhere in your course. Remember, the chain link is just to a website. So I'm going to go to the right-hand links. I'm going to look in course navigation to my module space. I can link to pages, assignments, quizzes, announcements, all those specifics, a specific module if I want, or I can just link to general areas. That's what I'm doing, is linking to general areas. I click what I want to link to. In this case, I want to link to modules. It's as simple as highlighting and click. As soon as you click, it flashes, it saves. That's it. So I can link to different places. I can also link to a file. All right, so answering his question, the file space. When I want to add a file or a picture from my computer, it's to the right here. So I want to add probably a syllabus. I think that's probably what we want, at least at a minimum on our home page. So I can just add the file right here, or if I want it to be called something specific, I can type the text first. It's really just a preference. We like to say for accessibility, it's always better to type the text first of what you want it to be called, like here's my speech and debate course syllabus. Sometimes when we add files, we all have those files that are really weird names. Like you might have a file downloaded from the internet that's like G679750.pdf. That makes no sense to a student. That's where naming the files yourself can kind of be handy. So I'm going to say I want to link to the speech and debate course syllabus. Again, I just highlight, and then I can add the file to that text. Or I could just pick the file if I don't want to put the text first. So if I want to add a file from my computer, if it was already in Canvas, I could see it here, but it's not in Canvas yet. So I'm going to upload a new file. Remember, over to the right is how I pull things from other places. I have to choose the file from my computer. So I click choose file and find where it's saved. And this is not my computer, so I have nothing on here. Let's pick something someone else has. Probably shouldn't click any of these things. Okay, yeah, this is not going to be fun. I'll add a picture next, but I wanted to add a file so you could see what it looks like. Here, I know what I'm going to do. Syllabus. Yes, is there a question?
While you're looking, there is a question online. Does My Media hold our Kaltura library?
There's another place for Kaltura. I'll show you where that's at.
But in our case, it does.
Does it also have that
Yeah,
too? Perfect.
yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of ways to get Kaltura
Yeah.
in there then.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I now have a document I'm saving. All right, now this should work. I forgot. It's on my computer. I don't know how to do that. All right, so here, files, choose file. I now have a syllabus here somewhere. There we go. So I can get that PDF. You can pull in any type of file, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, all of those work the same way. When I open, last step, I chose the file. I have to upload it to the page. And once it flashes here, I know it's saved. So let's look already what's here so far. I'm going to save so I can preview what this looks like. I'm going to click update. That way you can see what these links look like. I can see here I have a link to a website. If I clicked it, it'd take me there. I have the link to modules. I can go there. And then I have the link to this file. Look what's unique about a link to a file though. Students can click the file link. That'll download to their computer. They'd have a copy they could save or print. Or they can also click that little magnifying glass next to the file and it opens it right on the screen for them. So now they have a preview of the syllabus right here on their screen as well. So that's how files work, and PDFs, PowerPoints, Excel spreadsheets, Word docs all preview this way. You can add other file types too, they just don't necessarily preview right there. Like I even added video files and things like that, but just know if they preview there, it's one of those main document types that would preview. And you can always minimize and go back. So that's how a link to a file looks a little different. You can also add pictures, so I'm going to show you over here. Upload a picture. We should have some sample pictures on the computer. Let's see what's there. Pick the desert again. It has nothing to do with my class, but we're going to go with it. Upload. So you can pull in pictures from your computer. They populate there. Whoa, that's way too big. To change the size, you just click on the picture, and you get those little corner boxes you can click and drag and make them smaller. So you do have the ability to change picture size. And you can keep adjusting till you have it the right size that you want it. All right, one last thing, you can link pictures. How do you link pictures? Same exact way you link text, highlight it. Just click it. Now I can link it to a website with that chain link. I can link it somewhere in my course. It's the same exact functionality as linking text. Highlight it, that's it. So, I mean, I really probably wouldn't want to link the desert somewhere, but you can at least, you could think of any picture you get. You could get a start button picture and link the start button to where you want them to go. That's how you make visual navigation inside of Canvas. So linking a picture, maybe I want to link it to the UMN website. I could do that, insert the link. Now that links to the website. You can link to wherever you want to go. The other places I want to point out here, and then I'll answer the question. I want to point out what else you can add to this content. You can add insert math equations. Now this probably wouldn't go on your home page, but you remember you see these tools everywhere. If you ever need to do formulas or characters, you have that LaTeX editor. You also have the ability to add YouTube videos. It's this fast to add YouTube content. You put the cursor where you want it, you click YouTube, and you can just search right from in Canvas without going somewhere else. So this is a speech class, so let's say I do types of speeches. I can watch the videos right here. If I like it, I just click embed, puts it right on the screen. That's how easy it is to add YouTube content. When I save, I see it. Kaltura is the same exact way. Right here, this embed Kaltura media. You can go find Kaltura content, put it right on your screen. It's that easy. There's that little icon for Kaltura. There's a play record button. This allows you to record or upload media right here. Maybe you want to do a welcome message. So right here, you can webcam record or audio record a welcome message for your class. That play button is everywhere in Canvas, even when you're grading. You could give audio, video feedback on submissions to assignments if you wanted to. You can do it in a quiz. A quiz question could be audio or video recorded. A quiz answer choice could be audio, video recorded. Assignment instructions could be audio, video recorded. Anytime you see the design tools, you have that play button where you can audio or video record for your content. Really, really useful.
Can I just add one thing about the Kaltura
Yes,
media?
sure.
The fact that things that were uploaded to Kaltura through Moodle are accessible to you through this Kaltura media as well. I
Perfect.
just wanted people to know that.
That there's a crossover. Excellent. Hang on, I'm just going to point out one more thing here, and then I'll take all questions about any of this. So I want to make sure we get through all the tools here. Last place I just want to point out here in this bar, because we've covered everything here, is this little V drop down. This might change a lot because the more tools they start to integrate into Canvas, the more tools you'll get here. They don't all fit in this bar, so that little V drop down where it says more external tools is for all the tools that don't fit. And right now you have a few more there. That's where you can embed Google content. If you have Google content, you can link them to anything in your Google Drive. And then they also have another ability to upload or embed an image. So there's another tool that you can use there. That list is going to grow. So just know, always check that V drop down. You might have different tools there for that. All right, so now I want to say, any questions at all about what you see in these design tools? It doesn't just have to be a homepage or a syllabus. You see these everywhere. And I also want to show you, if you are someone who embeds or does iframes or coding, there's that little HTML link if you want to switch over to the code, to paste, embed, or share codes, things like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just ignore that. That's why they make it little. That's what that's for if you are interested in that. All right, questions about the different tools here. Let's start in the room. Anyone in the room have questions? Yes?
Yes, I had a question on file types. You suggested just about any file type was acceptable. In engineering, we have a number of software packages that generate a fairly large number of unique file types. Can those all be brought in?
They can be linked in, but the student would have to have the appropriate software on their computer to be able to read it. So you can link to those file types, but yeah, they'd have to be able to download it to their computer to access it.
Yes, no, I understand.
Yeah.
But, okay.
I mean, there's an exhaustive list. There's quite a few unique file types that are accepted. In the community, if you go to the help guides and search, there's a document on all the ways files are integrated into Canvas.
All right.
You could find a lot more detail about that. Yes?
Yeah, so I was trying that record
Yes.
media, and it just says that Flash is required for recording video, and it's just looping around and around and
All right,
around.
there's usually settings on the computer, and admin can help you enable for that. It's computer settings sometimes block it, but there's a few things on your computer. There's a guide in the community about that, or you could talk to an admin. They could help you enable it on your computer. Yeah. Okay, online questions.
This is from a little bit ago. I think it's talking about the global navigation. The person with the question is asking why their dashboard is different from the one shown in training, specifically why you see the admin
Oh, okay.
badge.
Yeah, I'm an admin, so I can see the admin badge. It depends on your access level. That's really the only unique icon. You should be able to see everything else. The only thing that you might not see is Commons, because you have to have a course to then see Commons. So as soon as you're a teacher in a course, you'd also see that Commons pop up. So if any of you don't see Commons, that's why. Once you have a course you're a teacher in, that button also shows. Admin is just unique to those who are official institution admins. Yeah. Most people don't have that. I'm an admin because I have to be able to get into your account, and I'm not a teacher here, so that's why I see admin. Great question. Anyone else with these tools? Honestly, if you can practice these tools, that's 50% of Canvas. So you should feel pretty good already this morning. You're learning a lot about Canvas. All right, I want to get to the most important topic of the morning. It's going to bleed a little bit over to the next time, but the communication tools take less time, so it's not a big deal. This is the number one for content design, what you need to do. We said first, clean up navigation. What do they see when they get home in your course? What's the first thing they see? Now's the question, how do you get your content in there and organize it for students? So at a fundamental level, if you're building a course, those are the three things to consider. Navigation, homepage, and then modules. Those are the three main things in a course. If you get started with that, you're already off to a great start in Canvas. You can then play with any other tools you want to learn later on. But those are the three key ones. So I'm just going to update this. It's a very ugly homepage, but we're going to stick with it. Let's talk a little bit about a module. What is a module in Canvas? A module is just a way to chunk or organize your content for students. It's kind of having one place students go versus many. It really helps to streamline how they navigate. You as a teacher do not have to change how you teach using Canvas. You make Canvas mirror how you deliver content. You don't have to change any of your methodology to use Canvas. Modules is that place that you can make it whatever you want to make it. It can match exactly your content delivery, your delivery style. For example, if you're a teacher that teaches content week by week, you teach week 1, here's all the stuff you do. Week 2, here's all the stuff you do. That's what you call your modules. Week 1, week 2, week 3. If you teach by chapter, same concept. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. If you teach by topic, I taught video production, which was completely a curriculum made by me, topic-based curriculum. So my first module was getting started. Then I had a module called video production basics. Then I had one called scripting and storyboarding. Then I had one for each project. I had stop motion animation, where I gave them PowerPoints of background information, resources, all these different things I wanted to link them to. So you can make modules whatever you do to deliver content. It's just a way to streamline how they access it, put it in an organized fashion. Other advantages of it. You control when they access that content. And as a teacher, you can decide if you keep it very open, like all my content's just out and about there. Or if you're like me, I was the teacher that's like, no, you have to do this first, then you do this, then you read this, then you take this quiz, then you do this. You can really lock down learning there if you want to as well. It's completely up to you as an instructor how locked down you want to make learning. You can say they have to do this module before this module. They can't move on until they do it. You can say they have to do this assignment before this quiz, before this discussion. You can really lock it down. Or you can just say, here's all your resources we're learning week 1. Keep it open. Completely up to you. That's the nice thing is this is an area that's totally customizable. You make it fit how you already teach. So think about that when we're building a sample module. Don't think about changing how you teach. Think about what you teach and pulling it into this area. So let's look at some examples. I have 3 different examples here I'm going to talk about first, and then we'll practice building one. So I'm using a history class, but this is really just a place I put all my different examples. So here's first an example of a week type module. I call this module week 1 getting started. And in this module, let me zoom out a little so you can see more on the screen. In this module, I have a lot of stuff. I added a bunch of pages they had to go through before they entered my content. I then had some activities they did, like a discussion where they introduced themselves to the class, typical things you do week 1. I could have like a syllabus quiz here, have the syllabus, whatever I want them to go through week 1. I want to show you a few things I did to make this more organized. A module is just a list of your content that they access. Now, whenever there's a lot of stuff in a module, there doesn't have to be. Your module could have 2 things. It could be notes and a study guide. Or it could be a lot of stuff. Here are notes and review guides, and here's a link to an article, here's a PowerPoint, here's this, here's that, here's a quiz, here's an assignment, here's a discussion. It could be really long or really short. Whenever they're really long, a good practice, even for adult learners, is to further subdivide. You can add things like text headers. That's what I added here. If I have a lot of stuff in a module, I tend to like to organize it even further using text headers. It's just a piece of text you put there to break up your content. That's it. So if I want to give more information or maybe make subcategories of my modules, you use text headers. So I have a text header for course orientation readings, keys to success. Another option you have, not a requirement, you make this what you want. I like having an outline view. So I used indenting. You're able to indent content if you want to. You can indent up to 3 times. So I used indenting just to make this look more organized. Some teachers do it, some teachers don't. Completely an option you have depending on how you want to organize this. It's not a one-size-fits-all area. Every teacher can have this look different. I also like to use naming conventions. When I add stuff to a module, I use like week 1 would be W1, week 2. That's again a personal decision. Try to be super organized in a course. I have lots of stuff in a course, so I try to do those little things to keep it organized. Let's see a totally different example. Here's a shorter module here that's for a chapter. All right, shorter module. It's for a chapter 2 in a history textbook. So I just made 2 text headers for this. Overview and activities. So things they have to read and learn, and then things they have to do. Those are my 2 categories I made. So I used text headers and indented here as well. The first item I put in this module was a background page on colonial history. Those little icons tell you what the content is. I then added a file. It was a PowerPoint of my lecture notes. I added another file. It was a PDF article I wanted them to read. And I added a video link to a video I wanted them to watch. Then they did 2 discussions and a quiz. All right, what does this look like? What's another advantage of modules? Well, if I'm a student and I come here, I could just go through this list and keep clicking, or I could be on my mobile app and just click through this stuff on the app. Or when I click on the first item, this is going to be a page on colonial history I made. Look what they get in a module. They get this nice little next button. So they could go back to modules and just click through, or they can go next and access the content this way. And I added a PowerPoint file. Look how it looks in Canvas. It automatically embeds on the screen for them. Or if they want to download and save or print, they can click the link there. I didn't have to do any work. I added the file and this automatically happened. Pretty nice. I go next. It's a PDF article. Does the same thing. Excel spreadsheets, all those types of things do the same. Look, the article's right on the screen. Even on the mobile device it works that way. They can also click that link and download or save or print. Next was a video I embedded. Look how the video looks. It embeds right on the screen. They watch it right from within Canvas. And then, if I go next again, it takes us to that discussion. Now there's something they have to do. They have all the instructions here for the discussion. And then when they're ready to respond, they just click reply and they can type their response. And look, even students have all these tools for a discussion. And that means they can add pictures. They can record themselves, so you could have audio, video discussions going on. How nice is that for an online class? They can video introduce themselves to the class if they want to, or give them a choice, audio or video. They can respond. Foreign language teachers love this because they can have full conversations in a discussion going through talking through recordings instead of just text. There's a whole lot more things that are opened up this way. They can demonstrate skills, procedures, record presentations, all through there. So they can streamline through a module that way. That's another advantage of modules, is it gives them that progression through the content. One more example of a module. Here's one on Newton's laws of motion, a topic-based module. I made this one 3 sections: intro, activities, and then the final assessment here, the exam. So when they're going through this one, they have a page that overviews the standards, objectives. I always recommend putting a page first because I use that to introduce the module. Whatever I'm learning that week, or whatever we're learning that topic, unit, week, chapter, I'll make a page first and say, this is what we're learning. And you can even do a recording explaining it. Here's the projects we're going to do. Here's the objectives for the current topic. I like to do pages for that. Then I have all the activities. They have a page with review practice, a video they watch, a discussion they do. They have a practice quiz. They have a team project that's an assignment. I link to a file that's their study guide, and then they have that exam. So those are some examples of what they can look like. You can already see there's 3 totally different examples. Fits however you teach. I'm going to go back to my blank course and just show you how easy it is to build these. I'm going to go to the module space this time. I have none yet, so I just click create, or I can do plus module at the top, and I'm going to create the name of the module. So I'm just going to say week 1 getting started, but you can call it whatever you want. You have this lock until. You can, once you have all your stuff built, if you want things to automatically open on a certain date and time, you can do that. So if you know week 1 automatically opens for students August 24th at 8 a.m., you can set that as a possibility if you want it to be automatic. It's really easy to open and close things for students. I'll show you that other way too. That's just one option, lock until. I'm going to go ahead and add the module. Just named it. I now have a container or a heading for the module. Nothing's in it yet. What do I do to get content in the module? I click the plus button, the small plus button, next to the name of the module. That's how I get content into it. And here I can add anything graded or practice, like an assignment, discussion, or quiz. So I can add any of those activity type items. I can add a file. That's how I'd get my lecture notes, my articles, anything I want to share that's a file with students could be added as a file. Content page, that's what I recommended as having first to introduce your module. A content page, again, just a blank space to put whatever you want. Here's what we're learning this week. Here's what we're learning this unit. Here's some background information. I did that background on colonial history there, that just text and a picture. Put whatever you want there. That's a content page. Text header is just for organization, further subdividing your content in a module. Then you have 2 really awesome links here. External URL, that's how you link to a website. When I taught physics, I linked to a lot of lab simulations that were in other websites. So that's what I would do. I would link them to the lab simulations this way. External tool is where all those apps and third-party integrations lie. So things like YouTube, Kaltura, if you want to add those to a module, instead of a page, you can add them also to a module through that external tool. I'll show you. If I click external tool, I can add my Kaltura media. There's other stuff here. Turnitin, if I want to get them into the Turnitin platform, I can link them to Turnitin here. YouTube, I can add YouTube videos here. This list will keep growing as well. This list will always keep growing what you can add. So you can add external tools to the module. I want to just add a page first because I like to put those first. So if I'm adding content, first I'm going to add a content page. If I had other pages in my course already, I could click one that I already have, or I can just click New Page and create a new one right from here. So I might say, call this page, whatever I want to call it. I'm going to call it Week 1 Introduction. Or I could even call it like Class Rules and Policies. Again, this is whatever I want to make it. I'm titling a page I'm putting into my module. So content page, new page, title. Indenting, you can decide now or later. I tend to just ignore indenting while I'm creating, and I'll do it all later if I want to. So I'm just adding the content quickly. Page, new page, title, and then I click Add. I now have a page in my module. I know it's a page because of that icon. If I'm ready right now to make this page, I can just click on it. I wouldn't do that now because it'll take you out, but I just want to show you. Now I have a page created. I can just go and edit and start making it. I can say, here we go. Here's the tools you've already seen. In this class, we will, and I can make the page right from there, from the module space. That's why I like modules as a teacher. It also saves me time because I'm building everything from one place. Students access it all from one place. I'm building all from one place. Makes my life a lot easier. After the page, I might have, let's try to add a file. So I'm going to go to Files, and I can pick a file that's already in my course, or click New, and go to my computer and find it. I'm just going to link to the syllabus, so I'm going to click Syllabus here. But you could also do New File, find the file, and add it. That's how you add your lecture notes, your articles, and it looks like this little download icon. Yes?
This text list of module material is the view that you have, not the student view, correct?
It's the same. It looks slightly different, but it's the same. So here's the difference in Canvas when you're talking about design. Modules is meant to be consistent for any user in the world who uses modules in Canvas. It's an itemized view, grouping all your content in an organized fashion. From an instructional design perspective, it's the most effective way to organize and chunk your content. Now, there are teachers who prefer visual navigation, like a more visual view than here. If you are that teacher, you can also make pages and link to all your stuff through pages, make buttons, make it pretty, make it look visual. There are teachers who prefer that. Just know, if you build through modules, you're able to track progress of students more, and you're able to control when they access the content. If you design visually, like you have a page and you're like, do this assignment, and you link them, then you have, watch this video, and you put it all on a page, you're not seeing what they're doing on that page. You're not tracking their steps on that page, and you're not able to say they have to do this video before this article, before this, before this. In a module, you are able to control that flow. So it's, again, a preference thing. There are a few teachers who do like a visual design better. Just talking about the architecture of your content, though, when you're getting started, modules is the easiest place to really start building before you know those ins and outs.
So a moment ago, there was a display for class rules and policies that looked more graphic.
Right.
And that was simply because either you or the student clicked on
that item.
Line item, class rules.
Correct. It takes you to a page about class rules that you can make as visual as you want.
I understand.
Yes, correct. All right. Yeah.
Somebody had told me that it's not possible to hide modules or items in Canvas, but it looks like you could unpublish it. Is that right?
It's
that would hide
it's
it
a
from
click
students.
to hide. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll show you how easy it is. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to show you that. Let me show you adding one more thing, and then we'll talk about hiding, publishing, all of that, because that's really important in Canvas. Yeah, no, I did not show all of my class modules at once. That would have overwhelmed my students, and I had a million things in there. So that's a really good point you bring up. I'm going to add one more thing, just some kind of activity they're going to do, maybe a quiz, or maybe I'll do a syllabus quiz. I'm going to add a quiz, new quiz, call it syllabus quiz. Remember, you can add as much as you want here. I'm just going to add 3 things so we have something to work with. But yeah, you could have 20 things here, you could have 2. It just depends on what you're teaching and what you're doing to support students. Now, I can add text headers if I want. I can rearrange. The dots on the left allow you to click and drag. So if I want to change the order, I'm able to do that. That's one thing to know. On the right-hand side, there's that gear. The gear next to each item is always, gear always means options. Here, it allows me to indent. I can edit the name of it. So maybe I want to change the title, I can change it. I can move it to a different place. I can remove, that's how I delete, or then there's that share to comments option. Typically, you'll either remove, edit, or indent using that gear. So I have those options. I also have the gear at the top, the gear next to the name of the module. That is where I can go. I am not getting this advanced now, but this afternoon, if you want me to, I can showcase this more. If I want to edit the settings for this module, when I click edit, this is where I can add those requirements. Like they have to do this first, they have to submit this assignment, they have to acknowledge they've read this page, they have to score this on a quiz. That edit and requirements is where you add those locking down of the module content. So just know there's a whole lot of guides about it. I'll show it this afternoon if you want me to show it, but that's where you would go for it. It's the settings of the whole module. So I click edit from the gear at the top of the module. And then I can say they have to read this page before they look at this file. Then they have to look at this file before they take this quiz, and so on and so on. So that's really a good advantage of modules. The other thing is something he brought up, publishing content. Students cannot see this module right now because it's grayed out. I can hide as much as I want or show as much as I want. I could say I want them to see this module, but I only want them to see the first 2 items. So I keep the quiz hidden. You can completely customize what students have access to or not. It's a click of that gray to green. That's it. If I want to quickly hide something, oh my gosh, I messed this page up. It's a click. You hide it. That's it. It's a click to show, a click to hide. If you ever want to test out if you published correctly, you can go to Settings in Student View. And if you can access it, you know students can access it. If you can't, you know students can't. So that's really what I used Student View a lot for when I got started, was checking my module structure if I opened it correctly. If you use that lock until, when you add a module, remember you had that lock until option? If you use that, you could theoretically keep all your modules published. They're not going to see it till it's that date anyways. You can also keep everything in your module published and keep the whole module itself hidden. That way, as soon as you're ready for them to see the module, it's just one click. The only caution with that is right here you have a page, you have a quiz, and you have a file. If you want to keep those hidden, you want to make sure students can't access those spaces on the left. You don't want them to get into files and see it, go into quizzes and see it, go into pages and see it, if you want them hidden. So just know if it's published here, it's also published in those other spaces. So that's why we hide all those other spaces. That way, there's no way they can access it no matter what. So just think publishing, you have to be careful with what you show, what you hide from students. But it's a click of a button to show or hide things. So as soon as I want to hide something, I just click it and it's hidden again. So that's the last consideration here, is with publishing. All right, we covered all of the course content in a very, very quick way. Creating pages, designing with the rich content editor, leveraging modules, cleaning up course navigation, and having a home page. Heaviest content in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I want to say now, any questions at all about what we've talked about so far this morning? Because then we're going to segue to a totally different topic of communication and discussion. So talking about getting an effective course started, I gave you the key points to get started in a course. Any questions, follow-up thoughts, things you want to share? Are we at least comfortable knowing how to get started with a course in Canvas? That's kind of the goal here. Yes.
So with the publishing of the module, can you still have like a quiz with certain conditions, like release on X date, and still be published so
Yes.
it will be visible but not accessible?
Yes. So depending on the settings of specific assignment discussions and quizzes, you can still have it locked down but published here. So you could have a published quiz, but the availability date could be not till the future. They're still locked out of that quiz. You're safe if the dates you set on something you're assigning to students are set. That's kind of the overriding. It goes off the dates of that particular assignment, discussion, or quiz. Good question. All right, anything online? Nope. All right. Yeah, 30 seconds. We'll see. All right, so that's pretty. Did one pop in?
Could you share the sample course you are showing? It will be helpful to go through the different design options when we start working on the site after the training.
It's my own course, so I'll screenshot it and send it when I send the slide follow-up. That way, if you want it, I'll make sure I do a screenshot of that.
We also have some we can share.
Perfect. Yeah, I know. They have tons of resources already here, too. But yeah, if you want screenshots, I'll put that in the slide deck. That way you have access to that.
Could you encourage folks to put their email addresses in the
Chat.
online questions?
Okay. When you're doing your online questions, those not Facebook, YouTube viewers, definitely put your email address when you ask your question. That way, if there's any follow-up or anything they need to get to you, they know who you are and how to get in contact with you. So if you could just include your email address so they can find you and know who you are, that would be fantastic. That sounded creepy. They're not going to find you and hunt you down, but just it's helpful. All right, let's segue to communication. After this topic, we'll do a break. So this topic's going to end at 11, and we'll do a break then, and then we'll have just an hour till lunch. But I definitely want to get through communication. We're going to first talk outside of a course. I'm going to go back to this global environment. Then we'll dive back into a course for communication. But a lot of communication inside of Canvas lies in the global environment of Canvas, not even within a course. What are some of those communication pieces here that are really important? The first place I want to take us is something that's really important, not just for teachers, but for students. On the left-hand side, there's this account button. That is where you set up notifications. What is a notification? Anytime Canvas sends you information, that's a notification. You, as a user in Canvas, have complete control over where they send it, how frequently they send it, what they send. You have complete control. Students also have complete control. Why am I really emphasizing this? Because I want to make sure my students are getting my updates in my course as frequently as possible. They're seeing it. So I'm going to take us to two important account spaces. There's a lot of stuff here you can explore, but the two spaces I'm going to specifically point to are settings and notifications. All right? Those are two areas for getting started in Canvas. Remember, we're not in a course anymore. Right now, we're in the global environment of Canvas. What do you want to first do to get communications coming to you? I'm going to start us off in account settings. All right, so here in account settings, all your details about your account are here, but I want to point us to the right, that ways to contact area. This is where your school email address already is. If that's the only method of communication you want, keep it, that's it. But you're also able to add additional methods of contact. You can add a cell phone here, you can add a personal email. Students students see this area, but whatever you add here is just for you. If you're messaging from your phone, no one's going to know you're messaging from your phone. It's safe. This is a safe place to add your communication methods. Students, if you're a teacher, would not have access to your methods here. Why would you add another method? For example, I know when I'm out and about, I'm checking my cell phone way more frequently than I'm checking my work email. So if a student sends me a message in Canvas, I want that going to my phone because I can be out and about and just reply right from my phone. Never even have to go to Canvas. Reply from my phone, done, it goes to the student. The student has no clue I replied from my phone. It looks like I replied in Canvas. It's a preference thing. You do not have to add anything here. Most teachers keep just their work email here. But why I really emphasize is that students also go here and add those other methods. I show my students this space and tell them to add their cell phones. They're checking their cell phones more than their school email. So I have them add their phones and personal stuff here to make sure they're getting updates as many places as possible. All right? So that's one of the real reasons. As a teacher, I might have other preferences, but really pointing my students to this space. It looks exactly the same. All these global areas are the same for students as teachers. So they can go to a settings. I have in my syllabus to do this. They have to add their ways to contact. Then they have to go to notifications and turn on specific notifications. So that's the other place I'm taking us. As soon as you have your ways to contact, you then tell Canvas what to contact you about, how frequently. So I then switch from settings to notifications. And again, this is a space I show students. I am that crazy teacher who even the first week of school, I have them screenshot that they did this and submit it as an assignment to me. I micromanage quite a bit. You're going to start to learn that about me. But I want to make sure they're getting all my communications, like frequently. They don't have to log into Canvas then. They can see it right in their own personal methods of communication. So here, there's a lot. We're not going to talk about all this. I'm not going to recommend all this. You can see I keep most of my stuff off. I got a little overzealous year one and turned on a bunch of notifications and hated life because I was getting way too many emails. So this area, just like everywhere else in Canvas, come here as much as you want and change the settings. You're never stuck. Things I recommend to turn on for notifications. For students, here's my recommendations for students at a minimum. Announcements. Have them check announcements. That means they don't just have to be in your course to see announcements. They will get announcements out to their email or their phone number right away. All right, announcements. Grading is the second one I recommend, so they know as soon as they have a grade. The third I recommend for students is conversation message. What's that? It's whenever they get sent a message in Canvas. They get notified. Those three things are what I recommend for students. At a minimum, students can pick and choose whatever they want. Those are the three I tell them to turn on. Announcement, grading, conversation message. For instructors, the number one I recommend is conversation message. At a minimum, turn that one on. I like to have an immediate notification. That way I could just be out and about. If a student sends me a message, I'm able to promptly respond. Don't have to, but I know it's there. If I want to respond, I can. So conversation message is whenever someone sends me a message in Canvas. And I can reply from all those other methods of communication, and it still stores it in Canvas and looks like it's from Canvas. So that's the one I make sure I turn on as a teacher. Students, I make sure they at least, that one and announcements are kind of the two biggest. Plus grading is useful for them. But at a minimum, I would say announcement and messages for sure. Yes?
So if you are a student and an instructor, can you change the notifications
Not by role.
Course or by role?
Not by role, but it's kind of nice because if you turn on announcements as an instructor, like you're an instructor and a student, you turn on announcements, you're not going to get your own announcements. So as an instructor, so you would be, it's not going to double bombard you with things. If you turn on announcements, any course you're a student in, automatically you'll get the updates for announcements in those courses. So it's useful, like as a teacher, I'm not going to get tons of announcement updates, but as a student, I will. So a lot of you might end up being enrolled in like faculty development courses as students. You might be helping other professors as students, kind of monitoring their courses. It doesn't hurt to turn on those other features either. Yeah, good question. She's coming.
Is the course activities grading linking to the university's official grade roster, or can it also be listing, say, quizzes and
it's
midterms,
anything,
things like that that are not on the university system?
Yeah, it's only what's in Canvas. This is only communication from within Canvas. When you have a quiz, discussion, assignment, anything like that within Canvas, that's what it's updating on. Yep.
Okay.
Good clarification question. Online, yes?
The question online is there a place where you can view and or organize all the files related to your course site?
Yeah, so that's out of here. This account files, I'm sure that's probably what prompted this question. Account files is more for files that would be relevant to all of your Canvas courses. Maybe you have like a bio link you put everywhere. That's what this whole account files is for. When you're in a course, I'll just show you quickly. We're not talking about a course right now, but in a course you have that file space. And that's where I would go to upload the specific files for that course. I just go to upload, and I can bulk. Let's say I really want all these pictures there. I can bulk upload a bunch of files from my computer if I want to in the file space of a course. So I typically add my files I want into a course environment, not this global environment that you see up here in your account. It's more useful that way. Then it's already in the right place for where you want to have that file housed. All right. Segueing to other communication tools. That's just something to remember for your account. The two communication tools in this global navigation, calendar, inbox. Let's look at what those two communication tools are. At a minimum, I always suggest if you're an instructor, go to the calendar, put deadlines. At least then what students get, and I'll show you here in a course where I have stuff on the calendar. If you put all that stuff on the calendar, it's going to pop up in a second, just internet delay. Students at least have big picture, all their courses, one place, everything that's due and coming up in their courses. The calendar is incredibly useful for students managing their time because it's not just one course at a time, it's all their courses, one place. As an instructor, it's the same thing. All your deadlines, all your information for your course in one place. You can see it's color-coded. So each calendar key is on the right-hand side. I can see anything for biology is that blue color, history is red, video production's purple. So I'm able to see and kind of identify what's for course to course. You can turn off and on calendars too. Clicking the square icon with the color, I can turn off. So if I want to see one thing at a time, I can do that. Or I can turn back on and see everything at once. So I have complete control over that. Adding to the calendar is really straightforward. You just click the date you want to add, or you click the plus button at the top. There's two types of things you can add to the calendar. There's actually, there's two main things you can add to the calendar, an event or an assignment. What's the difference between the two? An event is just something informative, maybe like class canceled, class meeting changed to room 106. We have a guest speaker. Make sure you bring your study materials. You know, any kind of information you want to relay to your students, make it an event. An assignment is just going to go on a deadline. So it's something that's due on a deadline. You have to do practice problems 7 through 17 by Friday. Make it an assignment. The one thing that's really useful to know is that whatever you add to the calendar syncs to your course. Whatever you add to the course automatically comes to the calendar, meaning you don't have to add things multiple places. If you're in your course and your modules building assignments and discussions and quizzes and putting deadlines, they're automatically coming to the calendar. So what I usually use calendar for is events, information, and then the stuff I build in my course automatically comes over. So just know you're not having to build an assignment on the calendar, then go to the course, and then do it there. One place. It all syncs everywhere it needs to go. Yes?
When you add an event on the calendar, do the students receive an automatic email notification?
No,
like
it's
they do
different
if it's
than
an
other
announcement?
systems.
Okay.
Right. When you add something to the calendar, it just shows up on the calendar or in the course. There's no announcement or email that goes out. So with that being said, you could always, if it's something really important in the course, we're going to get to announcements. That's where you also want to do that. Perfect question. When you add it, let's go ahead. I'm going to go to this actual month, and let's say I want to add something to the calendar. I click the date I want to add it. Maybe I'm going to say guest speaker. I can fill out as much or little detail as I want. I can set a time frame if I want. Let's say it's happening from 6 to 9 p.m. If I want to put a location, I can. The most important is the title, the time, and then calendar. Which calendar do you want it to go to? You can pick your personal calendar. That's just for you. Only you see that. Or you can also pick a calendar that goes out to your whole class. So if I picked biology, my biology class is going to see that on their calendar. All right, so you pick the calendar it goes to. You also have this more options. I'm not going to take us to more options. What you see there is just a place like your rich content editor. You can add flyers, you can add information, you can add video links, files. It's where you can add more info if you want them to have it. When I did science fair at my school, I had like our judging criteria there. I had like a whole promo video for science fair and all of that linked there that they just on their calendar could see. It was kind of cool. All that information just on the calendar. So you can add more options if you want, or just keep this. That's it. Submit. It's now on the calendar. Anyone in that course could also see it on their calendar. You also, let me see what it looks like for you all here. This is different for every institution, that's why I'm checking. You may have scheduler. Yes, you have scheduler. What does that allow you to do? That allows you to put time slots on your calendar for students to sign up for. Use cases. Office hours. If you want them to sign up for office hours, you could do that. You can also make time slots for things like project presentation times or dates. They could self-sign up for those times and dates. I'll show you on my calendar, I have an example. This is what it looks like on my own calendar. These are all the times I set up for sign-ups, and as soon as students signed up, I'd be able to click on it and see who signed up for that slot. So I have the full access to what's happening on my calendar. So that's called Scheduler. It's that button up there. It walks you through how to build it. It's pretty straightforward. If you want to create any kind of time slots that students sign up for, that's where you go, the Scheduler button. So you're lucky you do have that bonus area. Sometimes institutions hide it. That's why I always check. But you do have that area if you want to create that, and it looks like this when it comes on your calendar. And if your calendar ever gets overwhelming, at the top you can change your view. You can always go to like an agenda view that breaks it down day by day for you. And you'll see that in an itemized list for every single day what's happening. I tend to like the month view. If I need to hide stuff, I hide stuff. You can toggle month to month. If you want to sync this to your other calendars, it's only one way. I know a lot of people always ask, can this go to my Google Calendar or my iCalendar or my Office Calendar, my Outlook? Yes, but those calendars can't come in here. This calendar is just for Canvas. So you can sync this out using that calendar feed button, but just know you can't pull in like Google stuff here. You can't pull in all that stuff into here. So I'm addressing that question because I always get that question. But you can push this out to those other calendars. If you'd rather just check your Google Calendar, you can do that. So there's a lot of options in here. I covered the bulk of it. I tend to recommend if you want to build an assignment, when you click plus, assignment, I tend to like to do that in my class, unless it's just like a reminder, like read chapter 1 by Friday. Sometimes I'll just put that on the calendar as a reminder. But if I want to build a full-fledged assignment in Canvas, I'll do it in the course, and it automatically will come to the calendar. More for reminders, I'll do it here. Questions? Yes?
Just a point, I wonder if you could talk about what happens when instructors copy a course into a new semester.
Yes.
So when they copy it next fall, some folks have described this as life-changing. So if you could talk a little bit about
So
that.
in the advanced session, we'll show you the process for copying course content. But when you do copy course content, it is useful to know this. You're spending this whole semester putting all your deadlines and assignment events, all those things in here. When you go next semester to copy your course, there's an option to bulk adjust dates and times. So you can do it all at once when you copy over. That way, if you know you have assignments due every like Friday at this time, it could just bulk change all of those when you copy content over. There's a little checkbox, adjust date and times when you copy, and you can do it in bulk. You can also go through yourself and change all the deadlines if you want when you copy a course, but just know there's a bulk way to do it. As soon as you go to copy your course content, you can also adjust dates and times. Useful to know that. Other questions? Yes.
There is a question online, but you might be getting to it later. It's about sending grades for assignments one at a time. So are you going to be talking about grading and
Yeah,
assignments
grading's
later?
a topic later today, so we'll get into that later.
We'll make sure that we keep it.
Yes, keep it up there. If you still have that question, we'll definitely get back to it. Yes. They're coming. He knows to wait.
As a matter of practicality, what percentage of faculty are actually maintaining a useful calendar? There are so many calendars that we're all inundated with. And,
Yeah.
And with a desire to simplify our lives, I don't know if I'm ready to put that much work into maintaining a calendar on.
When you have a lot of calendars, understood. The advantage of using this Canvas calendar is, first of all, people who are being trained, faculty that are trained on this tend to use it a lot more. So you're already in the higher bracket of usage for this. The advantage for students is that they have one calendar for all their courses. It's so much easier for them when they're already getting their coursework in Canvas to just click calendar and see all their course deadlines in one place. For a teacher perspective, yes, I myself have 10 different calendars I manage as an employee, and then I demo the Canvas calendar, and I have Canvas courses I manage. So it's a lot for me as an instructor, but from a student experience perspective, this is one of the most useful things you can do for your students, because they, right from the app, right from their phone, right from their tablet, or logged into Canvas, they can see with one click of a button anything coming up due for all their classes. And they can click right on it and go straight to that assignment, discussion, quiz, whatever it is. So, and remember, you're not doing a lot of management on this calendar. A lot of it's done for you. When you build an assignment, it automatically comes here. So it's really just spending a few minutes. If you have a change in class location, you just put it on the calendar really fast. It really doesn't take much more time for a teacher to manage, but it's incredibly helpful for a student to have one place that all their stuff is. That's kind of the goal with a system like Canvas, everything in one place as much as possible. Doesn't mean you as a teacher don't have your other personal calendars and work calendars and things, but this is not a hard one to manage because it's really just stuff for Canvas. So just putting anything about your courses here is useful. You don't have to worry about your personal calendar here if you don't want to. Use whatever calendar you want for personal, but at least at a course level, if you have something important to share with your course, put it here. Kind of a roundabout answer to that question.
Can I chime in real quick? And
Sure.
as long as you put due dates on the assignments, discussions, quizzes,
Yeah.
they will automatically pop up here, and you don't have to worry about maintaining the calendar because
Exactly.
it's done for you.
Exactly.
But if you did want to change an assignment date, you can come to the calendar and drag and drop it to that new date, and it automatically updates everywhere else in Canvas too.
Yeah, it syncs everywhere. That's the beauty too. You're not having to build things multiple places. It does sync everywhere it needs to whenever you update. That's another big advantage. All right, so just so you know how it navigates, it's a pretty straightforward. It's just like any other online calendar. You click where you want to add stuff. You see I have this extra tab. Don't even worry about it. Yours is called Scheduler. It's what I already talked about with you, so don't even worry about when you see that. It's nothing new. It's just a different name. There's 2 different versions of it out. It's the same thing. All right, so that's one communication tool, calendar. The other is inbox. And people always freak when they see inbox, not another email, kind of going with his question, not another calendar. Like, what are we doing with this? Inbox is not another email. It is just a way to communicate with those you're in courses with. It's really called conversation messages. That just doesn't fit there. What this does, it eliminates communication barriers. I know in higher ed before, we had Canvas a while ago when I was in undergrad. We used to have to, when we communicated with our professor, find their email address, look up our course section so they knew who we were, what class we were in, put that in the subject line. It was so tedious and cumbersome to message our professors. I never even wanted to ask questions. It was also more tedious for me as an instructor. I'd have to look up the email addresses and go into email and email my students. If I was looking at the gradebook and saw 6 students weren't submitting something, I'd have to go to email and email all 6 students. It was just a very cumbersome process. What's nice in Canvas is there's a built-in messaging tool. You can't email anyone in the world. It's just those you're in courses with, and it's a quick way to communicate. And you can have this go out to your personal communication methods. That's what we talked about with notifications. If I want this to go to my work email or my personal email, I can reply without even being in Canvas. I can reply right from my personal or work email or my phone, and it saves it here in Canvas. So it's a way to eliminate communication barriers, make it a little quicker for students and teachers to communicate. So what it looks like email just so it's intuitive. I can see there's all these messages here. I can see threaded messages just like an email. I can at the top filter by course or just look at all courses at once. I can also go from sent to archived to inbox. The other advantage here is it stores a record of communication. This is the other nice feature. Inside your course, you can even run reports to see how communicative students are being and if they're being responsive to your messages. So it's nice to have this stored record already tagged to the course and section the student are in. It's already organized for you, and it saves this communication record in case there ever are any questions or issues that come up with it. You have this stored here. You have typical buttons like reply, reply all, delete, things like that. This little quill, and I wish I can zoom. I don't know how to zoom on this computer. When I don't have my Mac, I feel lost. The quill, I'm sorry, I can't zoom. Compose a new message. I can zoom this way, but then I'm like moving all over the page. It's going to be really confusing. So the quill is compose a message, and you hover, it tells you what the button does. What does it look like to make a message? Well, I pick the course. So let's say I want to send a message to my biology students. If I know a specific student I want to send a message to, I just start typing. It'll find the student, and I can just click their name. Done. Don't need emails or anything. It's that quick to message a student. Or I can message the whole class or specific students in the class by clicking that person icon. So I don't have to know their name. I could go to everyone and do a group message. I could just go to students and start clicking names of students here. Or I can just say all students get this message. So I can do group or just start typing names. I can then type the subject. Let's say lab tutoring hours. Here, send an individual message to each recipient is incredibly useful. Right now I'm sending a group message. If I want them to be able to reply and not have the group see it, such as something sensitive like I need tutoring, replying that they need tutoring, I'd probably want to break it of a group message. That's what that little box does. So I still save myself time sending one message, but it looks individual to every student who gets it. And when they reply, they're not replying to a group. So that's a very nifty checkbox. I used it to cheat a little bit too. If I was sending positive messages out, I didn't have time to send 20 positive messages. So I'd make one, make it seem like it was personal by checking that box. Cheating a little bit, but it's the thought that counts. That's a useful box for that. It breaks a group message. And here you just type your message. No fancy fonts or text. That's not the point. It's supposed to be quick, functional. Get your message here. You do have options at the bottom to add an attachment, or there's that play record. If you were in the first session today, you saw that. You can audio or video record messages too. So if you have a lot of text, we know students don't pay attention to blocks and blocks of text. They start to glaze over and not really listen or focus on it. You can intersperse audio, video, have something else to accompany text. Even for adult learners, it's a good practice to always present content in as many modes as possible. And it's really quick to just click audio or video record. That's that play button there. And send. That's pretty much it for Inbox. Pretty straightforward. It's meant to be a quick communication tool. That's the goal. Quick communication between students and teachers. Yes?
So am I understanding correctly, if I haven't gone to the settings or whatever it is and said that I can have it on my phone, I won't see it on my phone, or I won't see it in my UMN email?
Only if you check that box next to conversation message. It will, but you'll see it.
Okay, conversation message will show up in my...
It'll show up, yes.
Default it will be?
Not by default. You have to check it. Once you check it, it will show up. It doesn't mean you're going to miss the message. If you're in Canvas, you can see right here, even if I don't get it out to my email, I see here I have 7 messages I need to pay attention to.
Right, but what I'm trying to do is make sure I don't have to come into Canvas
Exactly.
to see these.
So as long as it's checked
Okay.
in notifications, you are good. Conversation message is the one you want to make sure you check. Absolutely. That's why I definitely pointed that out, that you're exactly right. All right, so we're going to go back into a course and talk about communication in a course. Any last minute questions about account notifications? That was a perfect segue back to that, or a reminder back to that. And then calendar and inbox, the communication tools that are global. Feeling pretty good about that? They're pretty intuitive. Once you start learning parts of Canvas, it kind of translates everywhere. It really just click and kind of figure things out. Let's go into a course now. And let's go into, here we go, back to that practice course that looks really ugly with a non-well-designed homepage. What are the communication tools within a course? You have announcements, and then we're going to also lump discussions into this topic a little bit. Announcements, I'm going to click announcements first. This is how you blast information out to your class. Inbox, the difference, people then always ask, what's the difference between inbox and announcements? They always ask that. If you can do a group message in the inbox, why use announcements? Inbox is more customizable who you send messages to. And especially if you want to keep like replies private, things like that, I use inbox. Announcements is more if the whole class needs to know something, I just send it out through there. They don't necessarily need to reply. Things like maybe on the calendar I put class canceled Friday. I might also make an announcement about it. Quick things like that I typically use announcements for. I just click plus announcement and look what you see. The exact same tools we've seen already. Even with an announcement, you have that rich content editor and you have that content selector to the right. Remembering that these tools here, for those who just joined us for this session, these tools here are how you design natively on the screen. The tools to the right are how you pull things in from other places. So just like we were learning on a home page, even in an announcement, you can have pictures, links. I could say, don't forget we have a test tomorrow. Review your study guide and take the practice quiz, and then I could link them to the study guide and the practice quiz in my course. That's the nice thing, is you can use all those tools to link and embed and add pictures, add review videos, whatever you want here to an announcement. Or it could just be simply text like, don't forget class is canceled. Make it as in-depth as you want. It's there for you. So I'm going to say just a brief one as practice. Class canceled Friday. And I might say, don't forget, we have no face-to-face Friday. Maybe I'll do a link in here. Instead, make sure you complete Module 1. And then I could link them if I wanted to Module 1, or I could link them to a website. I'm going to go ahead and link them to Module 1. Go to my modules. I now have something there. Click, link. That's it. I can even use announcements to link them places. I don't have to. I could have just said, don't forget we have no face-to-face Friday. Done. Depends on what I want. You can also change the text to make it bold, make it darker colors. I like the dark red for like reminders. You can play around with text if you'd want, or not. Just keep it functional, keep it black text. Just if ever you do change text color, we want to talk about accessibility a little bit. Keep the colors dark, because it's on a white background. You want them to really stand out. Or you could always highlight text in dark and have light text colors. You are able to add color and highlights here. I could add all these other tools if I wanted. I could even make, with that play button, an audio or video recorded message if I want to. I could also add in files, maybe a study guide, images, things like that. So you have for an announcement this part here, the part you edit. Now I want to point out what's different for every tool. Every tool you use in Canvas has these at the top for design. What's different will always be the settings that follow. So what are the settings specific to an announcement? There's not a lot. Here's the settings specific to an announcement. You can add an attachment right here if you want to. If I was saying, class is canceled, but here's a study guide for next week, link them a study guide. That easy. I also have, this is the most useful, I feel like, delay posting. This delay posting option allows me to make this message ahead of time and then pick the time and date it goes out. Why is this useful? Everything in Canvas is pretty much instantaneous. Once it's published or saved, it goes straight to students. This is how I stop that from happening. Also, I can sometimes forget. Let's say I want to remind them Thursday before a Friday exam, don't forget to study, here's a study guide. I kind of sometimes forget that, or I'll run out of time, we're all busy. So I get into practice anytime I make a product, like a big project or an exam, something like that, I come right here, make the announcement for it, and just delay it to post till when I want it to go out to students. So you can use delay posting to create messages for the future. So I might say if class is canceled Friday, I might say, all right, I want this to go out tomorrow, Thursday, maybe at 3 p.m., 3 o'clock p.m. It defaults to 11:59 if you don't set a time. Done. Now I've delayed posting. I as an instructor can see this, but students will see it only at that date and time. They'll see it until you delete it. So they have that for as long as you want them to have it. There's a couple other options here. You can allow them to reply to announcements if you want. When you might use that, sometimes when we're voting on things for class, like what's your favorite project idea? And they can go and reply and things like that. You could have them reply. Podcast feed, I very rarely see this used. If you do want to make your announcement go out to an external podcast, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, then ignore it. It's just an option there. There's a guide on that in the community if you want to learn more. Liking is if they do reply, you can allow them to vote by liking each other's posts. Like we had all-day Saturday classes in grad school because we were all teaching full-time when we were in grad school. So our all-day Saturday courses, we'd vote on food to bring to class. Not anything academic related, but we'd all be like, yes, let's bring this, or I got this, and they'd use a system for that. So just so there's other options here. A lot of teachers don't even use those. The biggest is delay posting. And when you click save, that announcement is saved for you and ready to go out to students as soon as that date and time. And you can see right here, it tells you this announcement will not be visible to users until this date and time. Yes?
Are announcements copied over from semester to semester?
Yes. Yes. And you can also, if you copy content from course to course, you can either copy all. When you select all content, everything copies, including announcements. Or if you select specific, like you want to go in and handpick what you copy, you can even pick specific announcements to copy over if you want to. So it's completely customizable which ones come over.
Is it advisable to suggest to students how to manage notifications to make sure they receive your messages
100%,
and other
yes.
important information?
Yes, I make it a point, week 1, that's an assignment. They have to show me that they turned on announcement notifications in that account area. I highly recommend that.
I was just wondering, how do announcements show up to students? Do they show up on the home screen?
They can. So they're in the announcement space to students, or they'll go out as a notification to students. The other option, I'll show you a class where I turned on this feature. It's an optional feature to have recent announcements on the home page. So that's what it looks like if you turn that feature on. It's in the settings. I'll show you real fast where to turn it on. You go into the settings of your course. And it's one of those very minute detailed settings. If I'm in the first tab, Course Details, I scroll all the way down. It's under More Options. Course Details is that place where it's very minute detailed settings. A place to definitely go back and look because I'm not showing you it all. There's a lot of cool settings here that you want to definitely look at. But if I scroll down and click More Options, There's where that option is to show recent announcements on the home page. I can even pick how many I show at a time. I can also, there's stuff here for discussions. We're getting to discussions next. So it's also a good time to point out, you can allow here students to create discussion topics. I don't want them creating discussion topics. I usually come here and deselect that. This is a space to go and see if do I want them to be able to edit their discussion posts. Well, if I'm concerned about students cheating, reading what everyone else says and then going back to change their discussion, I might turn off that ability to edit their posts once they post. There's a lot of options here that instructors can decide. Here's one: students can organize their own groups. When I started in Canvas, I didn't know to turn that off, and all of a sudden I saw these random groups popping up in my class. I could see them, I could manage them, I could delete them, but I'm like, where the heck are these groups coming from? I didn't hide students from that ability. So just know, when you're in settings, there's a lot here. Go through it. And course details is where all those finite, like, checkbox settings are located and under more options. And then you just click update course details. So great question. Yes, you can have it on the home page too.
And then kind of as a follow-up to
Sure.
that, they have to change their settings if they were going to get an email about an announcement
Yes,
or
so
a text message?
they have the exact same account space as you. So they have to go into notifications and check if they're not getting it by logging into Canvas. If you want that extra notification, yes, it has to be enabled in account notifications. Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely advise them to do that. I put it in my syllabus, and even in that week 1 module, that's a step I have them do, always. If they have the app too, it's kind of nice. They don't even, it doesn't have to be fully enabled that way. The app, they'll get push notifications too when there's announcements. They'll see, they'll get a little number on their app, like they have something to pay attention to as well. So if students use the app, they'll get notifications a lot easier too. All right, it's a lot. Any more? Another one?
There are some people joining online that didn't see the very beginning, and I think it would be useful for you to do a reminder as to where they can find step-by-step instructions later,
Okay.
because some people are saying this is a lot to take in, and it's kind of overwhelming, and so like
Yeah.
somebody named it Canvas for Dummies, how they would find written instructions, if you could show that.
Yep, I will do that after the end of this topic.
Okay,
So
thank
at
you.
the end of each topic today, since people are attending in a very different way than normal, we'll definitely showcase at the end of each one how to get that help again. So for those who did just join us, I'll do a little disclaimer. For the web people, we did a very exhaustive look at everything in Canvas this morning, and I think this is being recorded, right? So definitely go back and watch at least the first hour and 15 minutes today, because that was probably the best overview you're going to get of Canvas throughout the day. Now it's more segmented topics. So that's one thing, and then I'll go ahead now while we're talking about it and show you the other place to definitely get your help is, let me go back to UMN's site. The help button is always located on the left-hand side. So help, and this is where you can really go to learn all of Canvas. You can get one-on-one support with chat or a phone number 24/7, 365. There is someone always available to help you using the hotline or the chat. Report a problem is how you report a technical issue in Canvas. But the number one thing you can do for yourself when learning Canvas, besides watch the recordings from today, is search the Canvas guides. So when I go there, I'll show you one more time how to get there. You click search the Canvas guides. It takes you to our website. So it takes us here. And you can search any topic. Let's say you want to learn more about announcements. You can get step-by-step guides on how to do everything. Here's all the specific topics. How do I reply? What are announcements? How do I edit one? So you can deeper dive and really learn the ins and outs of Canvas this way. They're very visual. If I don't want to search, I can also, instead of searching, when I get to this space, go directly to a list of guides on all the topics. Or there's even, oh man, this scrolling thing. Or the video guides are here too. You could watch a short video on all the major topics in Canvas. So just remember help. Search the Canvas guides is the number one, but you also have the ability to get one-on-one help. And the university's already paid for this, so use it. Use it as much as you can, because it's very, very, very helpful when you're building course content and using the tools in Canvas. All right. So we're going to segue to discussions now. Now, I tend to teach normally discussions when I teach assignments and quizzes because it's one of the 3 graded types of activities. But discussions is a little unique. Assignments and quizzes can be the same. They don't have to be graded. They can just be practice. Like maybe you have a rough draft assignment or you want them to take a practice quiz before the real assessment. All 3 of those things can have just practice, or a discussion can just be open communication, or they can be graded as assessments. All right, so discussions will kind of lend itself to the next topic of assignments and quizzes anyways. A discussion is the only tool in Canvas that can be graded where students can see each other's work and posts and information. So anything you can think of that you want to have students replying to or sharing ideas or looking at each other's ideas, have it done through a discussion. If you have them submit maybe an oral presentation recording through an assignment, they're just submitting it to you, the teacher. But let's say you want them to watch each other's recordings of oral presentations, have them put it in a discussion. It's a forum for them to see what each other are saying and doing. I know a lot of teachers who have them post like rough drafts or topic ideas, and then this class can help each other kind of come up with projects and topics and give them feedback. All that can happen in a discussion. What does the discussion tool look like? I'm going to show you some examples of completed discussions. Let's go here. Typically, discussions look like this in higher ed. I'm not going to lie, this is 90% of discussions. Article analysis. Read an article, respond to your classmates. 90% of discussions in higher ed are something like that. Read the chapter, give your insights, reply to your classmates' insights. Kind of how typical discussions go. Nothing wrong with that. That's a really good use of the discussion tool. But I also want to encourage you to think more outside the box. This tool can be used for a lot of things. It is the only place they can see each other's work. So I even in my class like to use discussions as a virtual gallery. If they have some kind of products they created, if they submit it just to me, only I see it. If they post it in a discussion, now this is a secondary example, but you could translate this to any kind of product they create, whatever age they are. I had them make element superheroes in physics. So they would post pictures here of their work, and then the class could actually see it. Versus if you have them just submit to you, only you see it. So it can be used as a virtual gallery for products. Have it open for students. It can also be used for that article analysis. This is what it looks like. I put my instructions at the top, and then I have all of the replies below. So that's what it looks like when students start replying to each other. That's a typical type of discussion. Some other options, though. I like to keep some discussions open all semester. I made one for video production called Video Creating Tips and Tricks. And this one was not graded. It's just an open discussion where anytime throughout the semester, if they learned a really cool editing technique or something that we didn't learn in the class, they could share it with each other and kind of teach each other, which is kind of what we want students to do, share their knowledge, get interactive with their class. And I would even come here, and if students did a really great job throughout the semester, I'd give them some extra points for being collaborative and sharing with the class. So that was something I just kept open all the time. I see a lot of professors do like an FAQ discussion they keep open. If a student has a question that might be relevant to everyone in the class, they can ask it there. The teacher can answer it once there, as opposed to replying to all the students in the class who have the same question. So there's reasons you might keep discussions open all the time. I had them do video class introductions. So when they came in, they could record a video of themselves instead of just the text like, hi, my name is Erin, I do this, and my favorite thing is this. They could record audio or video too and have it more interactive. In an online or blended class, it's great to have that personalization added to the class. Video and audio translates so much better to students than just text. So you have the ability to make alternative types of discussions. Here's some other ideas. Having students sharing and teaching, frequently asked questions, using those multimedia introductions to the class. Flip presentations this way, have a virtual gallery, use a class blog, give them like updates on content and they can get interactive with it, share resources. I have them even use discussions to share research sometimes with each other. They can just reply with their research sources and have like an exhaustive list of class research and relevant links and articles for projects. I had them post for science fair their topic ideas, and their classmates could give them feedback with those discussions. Lots of different uses of the discussion tool inside of Canvas. So how do you create a discussion? You click plus discussion at the top. Or, remember, we recommend building through modules. If you add a discussion to a module, same thing. Plus discussion. Title it. So let's say I want to do video introduction to the class. Type your instructions here. Look what you have for a discussion. All the same tools you keep seeing everywhere. So you can definitely put links and all that stuff there too. Link them to articles, put a video they watch. I see a lot of people have like a YouTube video they'll watch and then have to respond and give some implications or an analysis of the video. You can add Kaltura content here. You can audio, video record your explanations. This is where I see foreign language teachers record themselves starting a conversation, and then the students will have to reply, recording themselves in a conversation with each other. So it's great for any kind of context you can really think of for this. I've even worked at a law school where they had closing arguments put here as replies, and then the students could give feedback on their closing arguments in a discussion. Just the possibilities are really endless here. What's different, remember, is all the settings. So I want to point out the settings for the discussion. They can attach a file. Allow threaded replies. That's how you allow them to reply to each other. Doesn't have to reply. If it's a virtual gallery, might not have them reply to each other. I love this feature. Users must post before seeing replies. I want them to have an original thought and not read what everyone else in the class said before they post. So if I want them to have to post before the rest of the class, they can see their responses. That's what I select. I can have them like each other's responses. It's up to you if you want them to do that. I can set, if it's a group discussion, I can have different groups participating in different discussions at the same time if I want to, or have this just on a group-by-group basis. We're going to go more into groupings later today. Availability window, when I want this available from and until. Now, if I choose this extra option of graded, right now it's just an open discussion. Whenever I want them to do it, it's optional. If I choose graded, I get more options. I can set point values. I can have peer reviews. I can also set deadlines for that discussion. So now I have this assign box where I can say they have a deadline for this discussion. So if I click graded, it just adds that extra piece of how I'm scoring it when they have to turn it in by. Kind of is the gist of that. So I can have graded or ungraded discussions. When I want to communicate and have students communicate with each other. That's what I would do to create it. So we're going to shift topics, and it actually isn't even a shift because we're going to talk about the other two graded assignments and grading. Pretty straightforward shifting to that.
Can I just
But
ask a question about announcements and posts? I think you answered it, but I want to
Yes.
make sure people realize that. Can students like the instructor post in addition to the student post? And I think it was basically the settings that you just covered.
Yeah. In the settings, you can turn off their replies to announcements.
Okay. And then are announcements notifications turned on for students by default?
Nope. Institutions can do that, but typically it's pretty open. I don't ever see institutions bulk say you have to have this turned on because it's meant to be open for students like it is for teachers. That's why I highly recommend making that recommendation. Any other questions from the room? Anyone curious about anything? We talked a lot about communication. All right, some of you have been in here for a while already. So I'm just going to do a 5-minute pause, and then we're going to go right into assignments, quizzes, and grading. All right, that's where we're getting a little bit more minute in detail. So let's take a 5-minute break. Give everyone a pause. If you have more questions online, you can type out your questions. We'll get to them. If you think of anything else you want to ask, this will be a good time to do that as well. I am. We can do more, but I feel like we won't get to everything.
Obviously, that person came in much later, so I'm sorry about that. And the problem is, I can't chat back with people, and so we can't tell them that.
Yeah, no, that's hard. No, I can definitely repeat. Oh, no, Yeah, no, it's a unique situation. Normally when I do trainings, it is like the same people for at least 3-hour blocks, so you do the kind of flow. It's a little weird doing like segments or topics all over the place, but no, it's still working pretty well.
Yeah,
so.
we're working great. It's really good information. You need to get yourself something.
Okay.
A lot of it. Yeah, yeah, but still, it's
There's a
always.
filling gaps,
Right,
right?
and there's always a couple of things, there's always a couple of new things.
Well, I taught myself Canvas, and I still, when I started working for an instructor and I saw other trainers, I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. I've been using it for like 3.5 years. I'm like, wait, what? You can do that?
Yeah.
Even I learn stuff all the time still.
No, it's true, yeah, like the recording thing. Oh.
Yeah, most people don't even know. Right there, you can do it.
Discussions, that's just like, although mine doesn't work, somebody hasn't enabled Flash. It's using Flash for recording?
Yeah, they're trying to move away from Flash and Java, but they've been prioritizing quizzes right now. That's why that hasn't been a big development. A lot of our developers are on the new quiz overhaul, but that's on their list too. They're trying to merge everything out of Java and Flash environments. Yeah. So down the road, yes, but they've been working on a lot of other things right now that were prioritized. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Hey, actually, Keith, you're Keith, right? Scott, I'm Scott. Sorry, Scott. So, somebody's, so I can't do the recording because Flash is not enabled, obviously, for our group. I was in Chrome, so in the browser that I personally can go into the browser. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay, actually I could ask Kate. Yeah. All right, because I'm an admin, I'm like, how is an admin, because she said admin has to set it up, I'm like, well, how is an admin, do you need to do that? So, you think it might be. Question, can you download the discussion document at the end of the semester while you're grading? I'll bring it over to you. Yeah, I'll bring it over to you.
Yeah. Like the whole list of discussions?
Okay, I'll start.
Discussion document. You can hide grading and like turn it to graded later if they want to. I mean, download, there's no discussion document, like, I don't know.
Right, there isn't a document.
No, it's built in there. So yeah, they can grade it later. They don't have to grade it right away. Or they can mute grading so that they don't see the grading. All right, should I go ahead and answer? Do you think they're listening right now? Are we turned on still? I don't think we're muted. Did they pause us? Yeah, that's all right then. I'll address that right away when we get back.
Okay. Do you want me to, you don't need me to say it, do you?
No, I can do it. It's fine. Yeah.
Good. Okay, right. This would have been better. I'm going to say, yeah. If it was, so we could, see, people are not giving us their names.
Oh.
You know, and.
'Cause you could always follow up if you needed to.
We sent some people follow-up emails.
Okay.
Because we knew who it was.
Yeah.
You know, but some people are not, you know, they're just asking questions.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice.
Yeah.
But again, we're learning as we go here. So yesterday it was a little easier because.
It was all in that, yeah.
So, okay.
At least they're asking though, that's
Yeah,
good.
good question.
People are participating, it's awesome.
She's probably communicating with Kevin primarily. But Kevin's biggest thing in the training was, he's like, it's just nice to have a resource on campus that's a bit more familiar with Kevin.
room system, I tested that pretty loudly. Remember, like,
Yeah.
when we were testing? And I don't know if you're just that much louder, but I think
I'm loud.
it's the constant
Yeah.
that causes
That.
something with the room system.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
and I think that
Whatever works best. We're good. I'm good.
I think they still can hear you
Okay.
without being amplified.
Yeah. I feel like I'm loud enough. I hope they can. I'm a loud person. I taught 15-year-olds. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm here. Take advantage.
So most of my course content I have on the website
Okay.
because I have such a large international audience.
Okay.
60,000 downloads of files
Wow.
already. But for my courses, and it seems to work fine for students, they can look up all the lectures, all the syllabus, it's all laid out. But grades are the one thing that have been a pain because I have to email each of the midterms or quizzes, whereas finals can go up on the system. So my vision of using this is at first going to be just to get those grades out.
Okay, so
is that kind of what we're going to be covering next?
yes.
How to set
So
up this-
yes, the easiest way to get grades into Canvas is just to build an assignment or quiz or discussion, and that immediately makes a column in the gradebook to assess.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be like, if you want them to turn in online, you could do all the assignment settings and everything we're going to go through. If you just want a column in that gradebook, you just add an assignment. All you need is a title, total point value, and how they're submitting. It'd be no submission or
Right.
and whatever. Save it. That's all you need at a minimum.
And then I can come back, add the grade result.
Exactly.
somewhere in there.
Exactly.
Are all the emails ported in automatically if they registered for that course?
Yes.
So
They're already users in the course, and they already have their contact method and email in there.
Okay, so when
Yes.
I'm giving that grade, it'll
It automatically links. Absolutely.
and send them all out at one time.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're ready to grade, we're going to talk about this too, but just it's good to keep this in mind. You have a button called mute assignment. So whenever you grade a student, it's instant feedback. But if you want to hold and then like unleash all feedback at once to all your students, you would mute the assignment when you start grading. And then when you unmute, it'll unleash all the feedback to them.
Okay.
So that's a button. I'll point it out again and show you where that's at.
And in that area, that would be a good place to put, could I limit discussion to that only?
What do you mean?
Well, so that there's discussion about the grades.
Yes,
So I don't want to encourage, I can't have another email channel essentially, which is what this does.
Yeah.
But for the grades, that might be.
You can tell your students not to use the messaging in here, and they would be able to just comment on their assignment.
Okay.
So you can give them a comment space in the assignments to have like a back and forth conversation.
Okay. Or that could be just.
Or just tell them use inbox just for communication about your grades. Either way.
Or not have it at all.
You can't turn it off because the institution keeps it on for everyone.
Really?
Yes.
The inbox.
The inbox is there for everyone. But you can tell
if I
students.
start using this, then I'm going to have it potentially incoming material.
So you might want to just make an instructional decision, like at the beginning of your class, say, I will not regard any messages in that Canvas system. I will only acknowledge messages that are sent here, and be specific in your course.
Oh, but there was also a way of making all those come to my email as well, wasn't
Yes.
there?
So you don't even really have to worry about it. Yeah.
Right, so it would I could come to my
Yeah,
email.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So that'll resolve that right away for you.
Yeah.
All right, I definitely don't want to waste time, so we're going to get back into it. We have only 45 minutes till lunch, though, so it's a really short session now, and then we get a nice hour break if you're sticking around. If not, then it was nice having you for a little bit this morning working with us. I want to review what we've talked about a little bit first, and we had a question come up in the chat I just want to clarify. And then we're going to dive into grading. What does assessment look like in Canvas? It's going to be a very basic look at assessment, a deep look at the gradebook. This afternoon in our advanced topics session, I think that's from 2 to 3, we'll dive deeper into like advanced quizzes, advanced assignments, rubrics with assignments, those advanced features. We're going to look very briefly at what those tools look like now, just so you're familiar, and then get into the grading part of it for this 45-minute block. Before we do that, though, I want to reiterate, we've talked a lot today about what you see when you're in Canvas. You have all those global features for communication and especially help. So let's recap help one more time. Make sure, I feel like even if you've heard it already, it's the best thing to keep it in the forefront of your mind. There's help available. There's ways to chat and use the support hotline. The number one thing to do is go to search the Canvas guides. At any topic you want to learn more about, you just search or find, and you can watch videos or read guides step by step how to do things in Canvas. So that's key, that help area. Don't ever feel overwhelmed. There's always something there to help you walk through the tool you have questions about. The question that just came up in chat was about communication, our last topic. Discussions. They don't want to grade a discussion till the end of the semester. They don't want feedback to go out to students till the end. We're going to get into that answer kind of in this session with grading. There's a way to hold feedback and grades from students until you want to release it. So there's a button in Canvas called Mute Assignment, and that holds all feedback. I'm going to point that out in the gradebook, though. I just want the person online to know we're going to get to that specific topic. They also mentioned something about having a discussion document. The discussion's not a document. It's a thread of all the replies of all your users. I'll show you in grading what it looks like to grade a discussion. That way you see that as well. But it's not downloadable, exactly. You can screen print, copy paste, and it does copy paste really well. I've done it before, but there is no download like discussion history. It saves the discussion history for you though. So even if the course ends, you don't necessarily need a downloaded copy. You can still get back to the course and see the history of it. So it's not like you're not going to lose your access to it just because you're a teacher and determines. You're still going to have access to old content and student submissions. So that doesn't go away. You just can't add new content to that course. So hopefully that answered in twofold that question, and we'll point out some of those areas in a second. All right, so what are the graded activities that go in the gradebook? Assignments, quizzes, discussions. Those are the 3 types of things that can be graded and go into the gradebook. They all lie inside a course. So I'm going to go back into a course environment. I like to add all those things through modules. When I add something to a module, you can add a discussion, assignment, or quiz right from there. So I can just build out the progression of things I want them to do right from the module space if I want to. So those are the 3 graded topics. Anytime you make a graded assignment, discussion, or quiz, a column is automatically created in the gradebook for you. You never go to grades and make columns. How you make gradebook columns is to either add an assignment, discussion, or quiz to your class. It's automatically created then in the gradebook. So when I go to grades, I'll show you a class where I have lots of stuff. I'm going to go to my grades. And you can see here, this is a class where people have submitted. I have lots of assignments. I have a column automatically created for every assignment, project, discussion, assessment, practice, quiz. Anything I have with a grade associated with it is automatically created here. If I want to view an exhaustive list of all of these items to see their content, instead of being in grades, maybe I want to edit some of these, look at all the different assignments I have. Remember, you can add all the content through modules, but there is another space that's useful for you as a teacher. I hide this from students, but as a teacher, this is useful to me, the assignments link. Assignments doesn't just organize all of your actual assignments, the assignment tool. It's where you can build assignments. An assignment is just something a student submits to you, the teacher, something you can grade. But it also organizes anything else that's graded for you. So the assignment link is useful for teachers. I don't show this to students because it's just too much for them to see. But for teachers, it's really useful. If you do any kind of weighted grading, if any of you have different grading categories like final project 30%, discussions 20%, participation 10%, if your final grade in your class is based on weights of percentages, this is also where you go to set that up. In Canvas, those are called assignment groups. If you just remember that term, there's a guide that tells you exactly how to set it up. I'm going to show you, but in case you forget later, if you want weighted grading categories for your final grade, you want to create assignment groups. That's what they're called. How do you create them? You go to assignments and click plus group. That's how you build an assignment group, all right? In my class, I already have assignment groups. I have discussions worth 10%. I have weekly quizzes worth 15%. I have classwork worth 20%. I already have a ton of stuff in this class, you can see. Homework 20%, assessment 20%. So that's what it looks like when it's done, but I'm going to go to my blank course. You'll see why I'm going to my blank course, and I'm going to go to assignments. I have this hidden from students, but I'm still building stuff here. I don't have a lot of stuff here yet. So when I go to plus group, I can make the groups whatever I want. So let's say I have projects is a group. Maybe I have exams as a group. Build whatever the groups are you have for the grade book. And then what's nice, once you have your groups built, you go over to the little gear icon at the top of this page, and you can then set the weights for those groups. That's the process. You add your groups, then set the weights. If you forget these steps, remember, there's a guide, search for assignment groups. You get step-by-step with screenshots how to do this. That's why I'm not going to repeat this 8 million times, because there's always a reference guide for it. But just know this is where you go to build those groups for the grade book. If you want grading categories with weights, you don't even have to assign weights. Maybe you just want to categorize your grade book. You don't have to assign weights if you don't want to. But if you are that teacher who's like discussions 10%, participation 10%, if you're that teacher, this is where you go to set it up. Assignment groups is the name. You go to assignments, click plus group, and build the groups out. It's as easy as if you already have stuff here, just click and rearrange where you want those to fall into the categories. So I might make that an assignment. I might make the syllabus, quiz, and exam. You can click and drag into categories, or in the future now that I have this set up, anytime I add an assignment or a discussion or quiz, it's going to ask me which group to put it in. There's a little feature underneath when I add those items. It asks you which group to put it in. So you can then, from the future, it just automatically goes to the right group for you. So no, it's a one-time setup. If you go to copy this course next semester, all that copies over too. It's just a one-time thing. If you categorize your class, you go to assignment groups to do it. Oh, did I not save it? I didn't save it. Of course I didn't save it. Let's do discussions, and I'll assign weights to it really fast. Let's just do 2 categories. When I go to set group weights, I then say I do want to weight it based on those categories, and I can set weights to the categories. I definitely have more than this normally, but you get the idea of how you can set weights up to 100%. And you can have weighted categories. So that's the assignments list. What do assignments, discussions, and quizzes look like? We already looked at what discussions look like. I want to show you some examples of assignments and quizzes, and then we're going to look at the gradebook and wrap up with the gradebook view before lunch. So anything that can be graded goes to the gradebook. Assignments, quizzes, discussions. We already talked about discussions. Let's talk about assignments. An assignment, here's a class where I have some assignments created. It can be something simple like do this PDF and link a PDF. Let's be honest, most of our assignments when we're starting in a new system are going to be just very quick instructions because we're just getting stuff in there. What's nice, though, is you can use assignments to really add a lot of detail. So my first semester teaching in Canvas, my assignments did not look like this. But what I realized was I used to have a lot of face-to-face projects in my class. And so I had tables a lot like this room, and every table for every big project, like I did a huge stop-motion animation project, took a month. I'd have a binder on each table with all the rubrics, examples, guidelines, checklists, anything they need for that project. I'd have like a folder or binder on the table. I'd have to manage copies. I'd have to keep it updated, just a big mess. Well, what's nice in assignments in Canvas, when you create it, you get this rich content editor. The tools we've seen all day. If you missed the earlier sessions, definitely go back and watch. What do you get when you create an assignment in Canvas? You get the ability to add files, images, and links, and you get all of the tools in this rich content editor. So your assignment instructions could be very simple. Do this worksheet, or copy and paste instructions you already have. Or by semester 2 in Canvas, started to make much more robust projects in here. So here's an example of one I gave to students. I'm gonna cancel out of the settings first and show you what it looks like, the instructions. So here I added pictures, I added visuals. I'm sorry, I'm not used to this mouse. There we go, make it a little larger. It looks a little bit, let me see if I zoom out a little bit. You can see more on the screen. So here I had pictures, I had a list of steps of instructions. My gosh, I am just not skilled at this. Stages here, and because you have all those rich content editing tools, you can also link to things they need. I linked to a storyboard document they needed. I had all their requirements here for the project. I also had at the bottom, I linked them to a page I made of sample videos. So I made a whole page in Canvas with all the videos from last semester as examples. And then they could go watch them. So you can link to other things in your assignment instructions. I linked to a website showing them how to set up for their stop motion videos. I also even embedded a PowerPoint of background information they could access. So your assignment instructions can be very detailed, or you can just copy paste existing instructions you have, or just link to a file of instructions. This is kind of like where you can go with assignment instructions. When you go to create an assignment, let's add an assignment in my practice course. Let's say I want to call this record your persuasive speech. I want them to do a persuasive speech. This is that open space you can put your instructions. I could say, all right, I just want to put a file of I already have a PDF of instructions. I'm going to go to files and find my instructions. I'm totally pretending this is a PDF of instructions because it's not my computer. I don't have them saved. So there we go. I added a PDF of my instructions. That could be what my assignment instructions are. I'm done. Or I could copy paste everything from that PDF here, make it designed a little bit better so they can really see all the instructions on the screen. Or I could just start typing and linking and putting whatever I want here. Type instructions here. So that's first of all what you can do with the instructions. I wanted to show you a completed type of assignment perspective. What's unique about assignments are all the settings here. And we're not going to go super detailed into this because we'll cover that a little bit more later, but I want to point out the heavy hitting things here. You set up your point values for assignments. An assignment is anything you want students to turn into you, or not. Anything you want in the gradebook can also be an assignment. So if you want a category added to the gradebook, whether you're going to grade it in person, you're going to grade it online, you want them to submit online, you make it an assignment. Point value, let's say everything's out of 100 in my class. You can even choose how you display points. Do you want it as a percentage? Complete or incomplete's an all or nothing grade. So they either get a 0 or whatever your max points are. There's different point scales here. I'm just going to do percentage. You have the ability to not count it towards the final grade. So if it's just like a practice, a rough draft, something like that you want to give feedback on. This is the most important box right here, submission type. These are all the different types of assignments you can have. There's a lot of them. You can have no submission. That is where you just want to have a column in the gradebook, but they're not submitting anything here. Or I might want to have just a reminder of like read chapter 2 Friday. I want to build an assignment for it, but I don't necessarily need them turning anything in for it. That would be a no submission. And online submissions, 99% of the time what I choose, because even if you choose online, students can still turn in class, you can still grade it. It doesn't mean they have to turn it online. It's just if you choose online, it gives them a button to submit online or from the app. The app they can also submit from. On paper, you want the column in the gradebook, but it's something they're turning in or presenting in class. Still gives the column in the gradebook. External tool, those are for all those third-party applications like Turnitin assignments, Google assignments. We'll get into that in the advanced session today. But you can have like Google Doc worksheets go out to everyone, make copies and stuff like that. You can have Google assignments as well. It's kind of cool. So any kind of tool that's not part of Canvas that's integrated like Turnitin and Google can also be there through that external tool submission. We're not going to get that detailed right now. We're just going to pick the most common one, online. When you have them submit online, you have options. You just have to pick how they're submitting. Are they submitting a text entry? That gives them a rich content text box. Just like in a discussion, they had that reply box. That's what they get. If you have them submitting an essay or a research paper, something long, I suggest not using text entry. Text entry doesn't autosave, so as soon as they close out, it's gone, whatever they typed, unless they submit. So anything longer doesn't tend to get saved, or there's no way to annotate and give comments in a text entry. If they submit as a file, a PDF, a PowerPoint, an Excel, a Word doc, a Google Doc, you can annotate all over that. You get tools I'm going to show you in a few minutes where you can do comments, you can highlight, you can circle, you can strike out. You get all these tools to really manipulate their work and give feedback. So I suggest if it's anything longer than a paragraph, choose file upload and have them submit a document of some type. If it's something short, like you're having them in these instructions watch a video and then respond in a paragraph, text entry is probably okay for that. So that's the difference between the two. File upload, I love. As a video production teacher, I used to have students submit final videos that were huge files on flash drives, and I'd have to take buckets of flash drives home with me to grade their projects before I had Canvas. What's nice now is students could just submit their video file, and it's stored in Canvas. I can play it from Canvas. Saved me so much time in management just with that alone. So files aren't limited to document files. You can have images, videos, anything submitted. Just know that if you want to annotate and give comments on it, it's the document file types like PDF, PowerPoint, Excel, Docs, Google Docs, things like that. So file uploads is kind of unique also. You can limit them to only a specific type of file too. So you could say, I'm only accepting MP4, or I'm only accepting a doc, or I'm only accepting a PDF. You could kind of limit to. Other options, website URL. That's if a student makes some online product. I was tired of physical posters for everything in a class. We had a lot of discussion-based courses at my university, and we'd do posters on the wall and things like that. We started to shift to do online posters, online products. They created their own blog maybe. They created their own website, their own poster online. They could submit it as a website URL. That would just like a link to what they made. And then when I'm grading, it'll show up right in the grade book for me. So it's not having to go, before I'd have to get their link, go to the link in the web browser, and go to every single student's link. Now it's already in the grade book if they submit it this way. It just makes it a little easier for a teacher. You might not have anything like that. That's just what that means in case you were wondering. Media recordings is my favorite. I want them to be able to audio video record themselves. That's the choice. Maybe they're going to demonstrate a skill or a task. They could demonstrate the steps by recording themselves even on their phone. This works on their phones. Take advantage of the tools students have on their phones. Audio and video recordings can happen right from there. They can submit. When I taught Newton's laws of motion, I had them act out in their own unique scenarios, Newton's laws of motion, and submit it this way. Again, foreign language teachers can get a lot of benefit out of that. Anyone who teaches procedural skills can get advantage of this. So those are the different types of submissions. The other important box, we'll go to others in the advanced session, but the other important box here, this is the same box for assignments, discussions, and quizzes. Same exact box. This is a very important one. This is when you assign deadlines and who you assign deadlines to. The assign box is always at the bottom, and it defaults to assign to everyone in your class. You don't have to assign to everyone in your class. You could maybe give different deadlines for different sections of students. So maybe your Monday, Wednesday class is due Monday, your Tuesday, Thursday class is due Tuesday. You can add exceptions. You could even say maybe one student had a medical emergency and they need extra time. You could give an exception of a deadline to just one student if you needed to, or accommodate a small group of students if they get extra time on something. You're able to completely customize who this is assigned to. So I'm going to go in a class where I have that. I don't have students in my practice course. I have students in this one. It defaults to, let's click here. All right, so it defaults to assign to everyone. This is normally what happens. So I could pick a deadline for everyone, or I can change that and say, all right, this section or this group or this student gets a special deadline. You can really customize who gets each deadline. So when I'm here, I'll pick a deadline. Availability window here, available from until, that is optional. If you want to have students know the deadline and submit by the deadline, but you don't want to lock them out of submitting. You want that submit button to just stay there. If they want to turn it in early, they can turn it in early. If they're late, they can still turn it in late. You'll know if it's late. It tells you it's late in the gradebook, so you don't have to worry about that. You can still dock points if it's late. But keeping this blank allows you to keep the window of submission completely open once this is published. They can submit anytime. If you want to say, no, I'm only accepting from this point in time, that's when you fill out that availability window. So you can say, I only want them to be able to start submitting on Thursday, and they only have till Friday to submit. You can even pick the time if you want. You can lock them down. That is the only time they're going to be able to submit that assignment. So it's up to you if you want to really lock it down or not. Some teachers keep it open, but they like an official start time. You can just do one of those boxes as well. You don't have to fill in both boxes if you don't want to. So you can limit when they access it or keep it open. You can also add those exceptions. So in this class, everyone's due August 31st, but then I might add an exception. Maybe this group, they started late on their project, so I'm going to give them an extra day. And I could just go in and pick different deadlines for different groups of students, different sections of students, different individual students, completely differentiate with that, plus add as many exceptions to the deadline as I want. So you can completely differentiate who gets assignments in your course. That's an assignment. I'm going to show you a brief look at quizzes, and then we're going to go into the gradebook the rest of the time. So assignments look like that. Let's look at what a quiz can look like. Sure.
Is there a way to add extra credit?
Yes, I probably would get that in the advanced session.
Okay, we'll get that later.
Yeah, because that's a whole diversion to something else. But I'm making notes to make sure we cover that in the advanced topics.
Do assignment settings carry over from semester to semester?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, all of it carries over except when you duplicate an assignment, I'll show you really fast, this is something relevant. When you're in your assignments list, let me just save this really fast. When you're in your assignments list, you can always duplicate assignments. Maybe you do like a journal every week and you want to just copy it over and over again. When you're in your list of assignments, you just use the gear. Hang on, that's not an assignment. There's an assignment. You see that duplicate option? That's how easy it is to duplicate. The gear next to it, duplicate. And the only thing to note with that is what doesn't carry over when you duplicate is it automatically defaults to assign to everyone. So you'll just have to change who you assign it to when you do duplicate assignments. That's the only caveat to that.
If you choose online entry and choose not to select a type, does it make it possible for your students to submit any of the options?
You can select more than one. So if you want them to have like choice, you select all of them. You do have to save the assignment, select at least one. So if you do want to give them choice, select all or just select one.
Okay, does this discussion tool auto-save? Can a student
Nope.
save a draft and come back to it?
No. So, well, you can allow them to submit and then edit. That's a setting in the course settings. However, I tend to recommend to my students, if they're longer discussions, type it out like in Word first and then paste it in. So type it somewhere else, then copy and paste it into the discussion. Because no, it doesn't auto-save. Yes?
So I have a question. I'm wondering, are you planning to do this at some point? But I'd love to see what it looks like as you're actually grading and how you do the
We're getting to that.
annotations.
Yep.
You're gonna
We're
get
getting to that. Yep.
Okay.
Are media files stored in Canvas eventually deleted? Are there privacy concerns?
Media files are stored course by course. Only enrollments in that course can access the media files. So if it's an archived course, it's still only the teacher that's going to have access to those files. If it's a student, they're going to still, if they keep the course open, they can access their files. If not, the course is not even open to students anymore, so no one else would be able to access those files. It's pretty secure. Yeah, the student privacy and data is one of the highest priorities of our company. We do everything we can to limit what they can access after a course ends. Yes?
Wondering if you assign an assignment to one specific person, if the rest of the class can see it on
Nope.
the list of
Nope.
modules.
I'll get to that too when we get in the gradebook. I'll show you what it looks like.
Perfect.
Yeah, great question. All right, so let's just look at some overview of what a quiz can look like. And then I'll do one that's all question types. So you can see all the different options in a quiz just very briefly. And then we'll look at grading those items. So a quiz I'm going to go into edit mode first and show you quiz, ignore mastery paths, you don't have that. You're going to have 2 tabs for quizzes. It's the only tool where there are 2 tabs. Details and questions. Details are for all your instructions. So just like we saw with assignments, you could put your instructions here. You can put what type of quiz it is, how you're grading it. There's other limits to like cheating, like shuffling answers. Is there a time limit? Do you want to allow multiple attempts? When do you want them to see their feedback, if at all? You have a lot of details you can set up for a quiz. All right, those are the instructions and settings. You also have that assign box again, you see at the bottom. The other tab is for adding your questions, and we'll get into adding questions a little bit later. You can come here and just at the bottom, plus a new question, plus a question group that allows you to randomly pull questions and randomize them. We'll get into that later too. Or find questions. One of the things you definitely want to know about Canvas quizzes, you make a question once, you can use it as many times as you want. You never have to recreate things. It automatically stores every single question you have. It makes a unfiled question bank of all your questions. You can then sort them if you want to organize. Maybe you start to get a lot of questions. You can organize them into banks and you reuse them. It's an open area to organize how you want. Just know you can always find a question you've already created here. You're never wasting time in Canvas. You create a rubric, you create an assignment, you create a question. You can always reuse it again. So it's never a waste of time. What does this look like from the student view? So that's the teacher back-end view. From the student view, this is nice with quizzes. You don't even have to go to student view. With quizzes, you click on the quiz, you can just click preview, and it shows you how the students see the quiz. You can practice taking it, answering the questions. You can see what students see on the right-hand side, the time countdown. Students can also hide that if it distracts them, if it's a timed assessment, and it'll show as you navigate through this quiz. So I would just want to show this quiz as an example of the different question types. You have multiple choice. I think we all know what that is. That's the most common in higher ed. True, false. You have fill in the blank. This is what fill in the blank looks like. A little box. You have fill in multiple blanks. So 2 boxes are there. You can do more than 2 if you want. Here's multiple answers. It's where you may have 2 or 3 or 4 correct or all correct. You can have multiple answers selected here. You also have multiple drop downs where they have to select from different options. You have matching. This is what matching looks like. Oh man, hang on, sorry, scrolling. Here's what matching looks like. You have a numerical answer. You have a formula question. How is a formula question different than a numerical answer? A formula question allows you to randomize variables. So every student gets different different variables for their math or science equations. So that's a formula question. This is what an essay question looks like. So I use essay for essays or like any extended response besides a fill in the blank. So they get the full rich content editor here. They can type their responses and you'd be able to assess that. There's also something called a file upload question. It's totally optional if you want them to attach a product of something. And then there's a text no question. That's if you have like a passage or a video you want them to watch and then answer questions, you can have that too. So that's just kind of where you can go with questions. You can get much richer than that. This is a very boring quiz. I'll show you quickly too. You can add media to your assessments. So here's an example of doing a very basic, where is it? I know I have it somewhere here. Guided notes, butterfly quiz, let's see. Media multiple choice. So here's a quiz where it's just multiple choice questions, but look how much more authentic it is. Instead of having text answer choices, video answer choices. That's what's nice in Canvas. You can add video, audio, recordings, anything, and even quiz questions and answers. So when we get this afternoon into building advanced quizzes, you can see how to do this, but just know you're not limited to just text questions. Here they had to watch videos of speeches to identify it. Here's an example of audio recordings. They had to listen to speeches to identify them. And then here's one of just visuals. They had to look at pictures and identify. So you can have much more authentic questions too besides just the text type questions. You can have really audio, video, media type questions as well. So that's what those different graded tools look like. Let's now go to the grade book and see how to assess them. So I'm going to first overview what's in the grade book and then show you how to grade all those different types of things. So when I get to the grade book, lots of great stuff here. Come on. When you're organizing your grade book or looking at it, there's lots of views at the top. You can sort at the top, go to individual view and see student by student their grades versus this big picture grade book if you want to. You can filter by section if you have multiple sections in a course. So you can filter your grade book. You can import CSV files or export this as a spreadsheet so you have some kind of manipulative data. This gear at the top is helping you sort your grade book. There's tools like if you want to hide names or show names, maybe you're in a conference talking about student data, but you want to hide the names, you can do that. You can arrange columns by deadline, by points, or once you have assignment groups, if you want to arrange them by category, you can do that as well. You can show inactive and concluded enrollments. There's a notes column you can add if you want to be able to type notes about each student. I like to note when a student attends office hours. I'll be like, they're working on their grade, and I'll just put a note for myself if they're missing an assignment and they talk to me, something like that. So there's like arrangement type things here as your grade for your grade book as a whole. But let's talk about what your columns in grade book looks like. So each column, remember, is created anytime you make a graded assignment, discussion, or quiz. Every single column has a little drop down. And I'm going to go through this list, all the different options you have for the drop down of that assignment. But just looking at your gradebook itself, here's an example right here, this grayed out block here. I only assigned this assignment to one section of students. This is how it looks to you if you have an assignment just to one student, a group of students, or a section of students. You as a teacher see it in the grade book, but you see how it's grayed out for those other sections and students? That means they would not see that at all in their grade book. So that was kind of going back to her question earlier. This is what it looks like to you, but the students in that grayed out region would not even see this in their grade calculation. It has no part of their course. They're only seeing what's assigned to them. So you technically could have different assignments for every student in your class going on at the same time if you really wanted to. Know that it's not going to affect other students. They only see what's assigned to them, but you as a teacher see everything you've assigned. That's kind of the difference here. But this is how it would look in the grade book if you've only assigned to certain students. Now you can have something assigned to everyone. If a student's excused from it, you just type EX and it takes it out of the grade calculation for them. So EX is how you excuse a score. If you want to manually score, let's say they turn it in on paper, it's as easy as coming here and clicking and typing. So they scored a 7, they scored a 5 or a 4, and I just type the scores. That's easy to do that. I can see when a student's submitted and I haven't graded it, it has the little icon. That's telling me I need to assess those. I need to assess that discussion. I need to assess those items. So I know when it's late, you see how that's red? It's really hard to tell on the screen, but that's red. The boxes are red for any late submission. So you can always tell if it's late and dock points. When you open it up too, it tells you it was late. So it's pretty easy to know it's late when you grade it. So that's kind of what the grade book itself looks like. When you score a specific grade, maybe they turned it in on paper, you can also see this little bubble in the corner. It pops up a place for you to add a comment, type the grade, or you get the link to the speed grader. We're going to get to speed grader last, so I'm going to skip that for now. But you can put more detail just right here in the grade book. Or, what I pointed out before, the drop down is my favorite place to go. There's a lot of cool options here. I can get a grade distribution graph if I click assignment details, see how my students are scoring so far on it. That's how I get to speed grader. If I want to go assess, it's something they turn in online. I want to grade it and give feedback and comments. That's where I go. We're going to end there. Message students who is one of my absolute favorite settings from the grade book. Instead of having to look up all the students who are missing something and go to the email and email all of them, I save myself some time here. Message students who immediately grabs, here's all the students who haven't submitted yet. I can bulk send a message right now. Don't forget to submit by Friday. Done. It automatically sends an individual message out too. It's not a group message, so they don't know who else hasn't submitted. Done, send message, it goes out. That's how fast it is to be proactive or reactive in your grade book. Not just that, haven't been graded yet. That's more likely what I did. Sorry guys, I promise I'm getting to your grades. It will be done by next week. You could send out a quick message that way. Or scored less than. I noticed you scored less than a 50 on your quiz. You have till Friday to take an extra attempt, then it's closed out. Scored more than. I'm really impressed. You worked really hard on this project. They scored more than a 95. I mean, you can really pick and choose what you communicate. It's just so much faster to communicate this way. So there's that really nice feature there when that dropped down. Default grade is how, like, let's say you're just checking for completion and you want to default everything to 100, or any missing scores you want to default to 0. That's default grade. You can just fill in any empty scores or scores to a specific score you want. You can curve. It's a bell curve. It gives you instructions when you click on it. Just know once you do curve an assignment, you can't uncurve it. So it's like once you start curving, you can't like, oh, I don't want to curve this anymore. It's once you curve it, it's curved. So just know that when you use that. Download submissions. If they submitted some kind of attachment, you could have a downloaded record. My other favorite button, mute assignment. I use this every time once I learned what it was. So there's a couple of scenarios this is useful. It's important to know Canvas feedback's immediate. As soon as you score or give comments on a submission, it goes straight to the student. Reasons why you might not want that to happen. Number one, if I take 3 weeks to grade something, I don't want Johnny getting his grade day 1, Sally waiting 3 weeks, right? So I like to mute it. I'll tell you why in a second. So that's one scenario. Another scenario, what if you allow students to start submitting early? You don't want them having their feedback early because they could share it with students who haven't submitted yet, right? There could be some cheating going on. So to curb that, as soon as I start grading an assignment, if I don't want students to know their results yet, I mute it immediately. As soon as I mute that assignment, they can still turn in, I can still grade, it just holds all feedback. When I then am done grading, I'm ready for students to have their feedback, I unmute, and it goes out at the same time to everyone. All right, that's the beauty of mute assignment. You can turn it on here, or once you're grading, you can also turn it on. I'll point that out too. Mute assignment though, it mutes feedback. It still allows them to submit and you to grade. All right, I just got in the practice. Every time I started grading something, I muted it just for best practice. But you don't have to. It's just know feedback's instant unless you mute it. All right, now let's go to Speed Grader. I want to grade this assignment. Let's grade this report first. Yes, question?
Just a related question to muting the muting feature.
Yes.
So if in a quiz you establish feedback like responses released after
Yes.
X, would that contradict with that muting?
Yes, mute overrides everything. Mute overrides everything. Good question. Great question, actually. You're the first one that's asked that. I'm glad you asked that. All right, this is what it looks like in the Speed Grader. The top, you have an icon to get back to the gradebook. That little bell, that's where you can quickly mute from here too. You can just click it once on, once off. That's it when you're ready to mute. I always wait till I get into this grading window. When I start to grade through assignments, I just click mute right at the top. You have other icons here like settings. You can randomize the order. You can have it anonymous grading to avoid bias. There's other settings like that. Tells you the title, how many you graded, the average, what student you're on, all those things. Here to toggle from student to student, you can just do the next arrow. Or you can always click the drop down and you can see any that need grading are the orange circle, any that have been graded are a green check, and then anyone grayed out hasn't submitted. So you can go through that way as well. I usually just click next, or you can even filter by sections or see everyone at once as well. Here, I already annotated this one as an example for time, but this is what it looks like when a student submits a document. It populates on the left. You get all of these tools for an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, a PDF, a doc, a Google Doc. All these tools happen. You get point comments. You can change the colors. They bring them out to the side. Students can even reply and have comment discussions on their assignment submissions here. Highlighting. You can even do color coding and highlight different colors if you want to. You can add text right on their submission in different colors if you want to. Strike out text. You can draw in different colors. I did an arrow, or you could circle, things like that. And you could even do area comments. That's like this big red comment of the whole first paragraph. So you have all those annotation tools and colors you can use. Then on the right-hand side is where I do my grading. Now I can just type my grade, go straight to the gradebook. If I have a rubric, I can just grade right off the rubric. I want to point out to you, though, below that stuff, what you have. You also have the ability to add comments here as a whole for the assignment. So I can say, please read all annotations and make changes. Submit or save it in a draft state here. Either way, it saves my record of it. Once I submit, it goes to the student unless it's muted. I can also add attachments. Maybe I have a sample for them to look at. Look, there's the play button again. I can audio, video record my feedback. How useful is that button? I was the science fair coordinator for my school. 150 students with like up to 20-page research reports I had to go through. Before Canvas, they'd have to email me their report because they weren't my students, they weren't in my class, so they'd have to email me their report. I'd download, I'd save it, I'd comment on it, save it, email it back, and then conference one-on-one with every student for about 20 minutes. 92 hours of my free time. What else happens when you conference one-on-one for a long period of time? They're going to forget half of what feedback you tell them. We had great conversation about their papers, but they're working for months on this project. They're not remembering everything I told them in person. This solved a lot of that. Once I got Canvas, I could have them submit in a course together. I added all the 150 students to one course. They submitted here. I annotated right here, gave feedback right here. I audio recorded my feedback. Then throughout the next few months when they're working, they could replay the feedback over and over if they needed to. So it not only saved me time as a teacher, cut down a lot of my management time and discussion time, it was better feedback for my students and more powerful feedback for my students. So leveraging these tools can really be useful. I also like the speech to text. If I'm on paper 120 and I'm tired of typing, I can go here. Really great job on your first paragraph. I liked the detail of your thesis statement. I think my computer is blocking it here. It works. It's just not, I'm not on my computer, so yeah. But speech to text works really well. It works better than Siri. It actually is accurate when it types it out. I don't have to fix everything I say. It's kind of nice. That's that speech to text comment. And then you just click submit. It saves the comments, whatever you add there. Yes.
Quick question.
Yes.
How does the speech to text work with other languages?
It does not currently. That's where that attachment could come in. You could record somewhere else and add it as an attachment. Yeah.
A couple of online questions.
Yes.
Somebody wants a clarification. I think you asked it, but the students can still submit assignments even if it is muted, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And this one, I'm not sure, does the message go to the messages in Canvas, or can it go to email?
If they have the notification for email messages turned on, it will also go to email. It goes back to notifications if they have it turned on. It automatically does go to their messages in Canvas.
In Canvas.
But they have to have that notification on and notifications for it to go out to their email.
And it doesn't, I mean, they can set up a different email address in their Canvas profile. It doesn't have to be a UMN.
Correct. Or a cell phone. It could be either or both.
Because this person was talking about non-academic learners. And
Yeah,
getting those
it doesn't have to
messages.
be a UMN email.
And then I have a question. If you have it muted and you submit the grade to the grade book as well as feedback, does the grade become,
Nope,
the grade
it's
is
still
also
muted. You as a teacher can see it,
Okay.
but it does not go to students.
Okay.
Yes, correct. So just to point out, and then I'll answer all the rest of the questions about gradebook, I just want to show you what the different types of assignments look like. Here's what it looks like for a discussion. When you click on a student's name, you see their original response and any replies they did to their classmate. You can always go back to that discussion to see the context of where they were replying. So you see it all in one window versus having to scroll through a whole discussion. And then on the right, just type the grade. You can also have a rubric with discussions if you want and give your comments and feedback here. So that's what a discussion post looks like. You'll see their original reply and if they replied to anyone else. And you can always get back to the full discussion. I want to show you what a different assignment submission looks like. So this was a PowerPoint submission. Let me go to a different student. I don't like that one. So it looks the same as a document, except it's just a PowerPoint here now. You still have those annotation tools, even if it's a PowerPoint. Then on the right, I want to show you how great it is to add rubrics and grade with a rubric. If I do have a rubric added to the assignment, look at how fast it is to grade. Click, 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 click. Then I save at the bottom. It updates the grade here and in the gradebook immediately. It is worth building rubrics in Canvas. The amount of time this saved me grading, if this was a group assignment, I just gave that feedback to all 4 group members in that much time. Now, what if you're saying that's too fast, I want to give better feedback? Well, you don't have to just do it that quickly. Next to each criteria, there's also a little box if you want to add more feedback to it, you can. So you can be more detailed in your feedback if you want, but that's how fast it is to use a rubric. It's incredibly useful to build them. In the advanced session, I'll go a lot more into the rubric area of how to build. But I don't...
I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying right now, I want to go to questions because we'll cover a lot more ins and outs of the advanced assignments, discussions, quizzes in that advanced topic. But any other grading questions, go for it.
I just wanted to emphasize that this is one of the huge things that instructors that were part of the pilot loved Speed Grader and said that it saved them so much time.
Yeah.
Because they could do it on an iPad, they could do it very easily and quickly.
It made the biggest difference. By far, that is what made me excited about Canvas too. I cut my grading down by almost 75% in some instances because I shifted a lot of my classes to group structures, which is a topic this afternoon. I could grade a lot quicker to a lot more people. Rubrics were so much easier than handwriting on rubrics or doing clunkier rubrics for everyone. Just the amount of time and just the quality of feedback was better. I hated grading. That was my least favorite thing to do as a teacher. But it's the most effective thing you can do for student learning. And this really helped make it a little bit more powerful for my students. So I agree 100% with that. This was the feature that made a difference for me as a teacher. Other questions about grading, assessments? Yes. She's coming.
What if you also wanted to assign a letter grade or having a letter grade rather than a score up here?
You can. That's an option. When you build the assignment, you can select letter grade as an option for grading. Yep, great question. You have a lot of different options, complete or incomplete, letter grade, GPA points. You can score really however you want to score. Perfect question. Yes?
They asked, and I think we've already addressed this, muting the assignment holds only feedback, but they get the grade?
Yeah, no, grade everything. Anything you put for that assignment's muted.
Is muted